Hello there. Uh, Give me just a second. I will grab my phone so I can see the chat and we'll get this thing rolling. Okay, that should be like everything I need. The mic is unmuted and in the right place. The camera, I think, is good. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's too bright. That's definitely gonna be my preference. My phone is in a little bit of an awkward place because I need it. I need I need it connected to an outlet because it will die otherwise. But I'm gonna boot up the chat right now. Perfect. Here we are. And the chat is gonna be right here. It's gonna be a little bit hard to see at times, but so yeah. That should be everything and we should be good to go. Got myself a nice big cup of coffee. The microphone was acting really weird. I'm gonna move myself away so there's no like fucked up feedback that ruins the experience of watching. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. God damn it, man. My hair is not cooperating, as always. So yeah, today we have a couple of things to go through. I have Weird West review by MandaloreGaming, an incorrect summary of Elden Ring, The King and the Serpent by Max0r. Perfect timing since I just finished Elden Ring last week. Or was it this week? No, I think like the very end of last week I finished Elden Ring. So it hasn't been like even a week since I beat it. And then I looked up a bunch of Bricky reviews. I was trying to find a 40k game that he covered that I haven't seen yet, but I didn't see anything especially interesting to me. So I just put in a bunch of random video game reviews of his. So there's Killing Floor 2, Signalis, Frostpunk, and Uncharted, and I basically put them in an order of my interest, because Killing Floor 2 and Signalis are two games I am currently I currently have on my to play list. They are bought and waiting on my Steam account basically for when the time is right. And I finally decided to check out a review of Rogue Trader. I didn't want to check out a review of a mainstream like gaming journalism website like IGN. GameSpot was there, I believe. I just don't vibe with those reviews. They usually don't bring up points I consider important. But I checked out like this person, Mortismal Gaming, and he has some really cool reviews, like reviewing games after 100%ing them, and those are games like fucking Hogwarts Legacy, which have a bunch of extra content to 100%. So this seemed like a fine source of some info on this game, so I decided to roll with that. And then we have Advent Rising review by MandaloreGaming. This game is... I literally remember playing this as when I was way younger, and thinking to myself, even when I was a dumb teenager, that wow, this game is a piece of shit. But I only remember that it's like a third-person Halo ripoff. I don't remember that much by now. That's why I kinda veered towards this review to check it out. And after all of that, I still have like Paranoia.com on internet, his Mystery by Nexpo, and Mystery Flash Pit National Park by Wendigo. The reason why I kinda moved these two to the very bottom is because I don't know. Today I am kind of a groggy, kind of a a little bit tired. I don't really want a topic that's too heavy or like moody or mellow, because Nexpo and Wendigo, they talk. Okay, Wendigo maybe not, but Nexpo especially talks in this mellow tone that kinda makes you reflect and it kinda puts you in a certain like calm mood. And I need energy, I need hijinks, I need high spirits today. That's why I decided like those I will just move those down to the very bottom, and I will just move those down to the very bottom, and I will watch something like lighter in tone, I suppose. Let me just check if the right microphone is on. And also, I have an announcement of sorts. I will be. You know what? I can even do this, I think. Oh no, because whoops, didn't wanna do that. I don't wanna do it live because it will show the stream key and a bunch of people can do a bunch of things with that. So maybe that's not such a good idea. But my announcement is that like over the course of this weekend, I will be streaming like a bunch. I think I will do like 3 or even 4 streams from Friday to Monday, and they will be like really long streams. I am talking and planning right now streams that go on for like 6 or 8 hours and way later in the day than my usual streams, so that I catch most of my subscribers who maybe sometimes can't catch my other streams live, because like most of my subscribers are active from like 4 p.m. my local time, and I stream at like fucking 10 a.m. The stream begins, and only sometimes it goes on so long that some of those people can catch it. So yeah, for this weekend I have a plan to make those like super late streams. And hopefully they will be like very lengthy, because I will have the household to myself basically. So I wanna try and I wanna see, like, you know, how the turnout will be when I stream at the weekend and like much later than usual, you know. Just wanna do some experimenting around the channel basically. And due to like how much streaming I will do, a bunch of that will be also not only reactions but just playing games. Probably Mechanicus, because I really wanna get deep into that game. Like I'm like 6 hours in and it's a 22-hour game. I don't wanna be. I really need to stream more of it because I enjoy it. I'm just kinda afraid of the reaction because it's obviously not as popular as my like reaction streams and whatnot. But yeah, I really wanna get to the end of Mechanicus and then see kind of like what's the vibe, how many people tune into the to the let's play and what people thought about it and what kind of games they would like to cover next. And I will probably like do also a little review, nothing like I did before with those Seth Touch games, but I will just do a quick little review. Kind of a more like Mandalore style with no face cam and no nothing, just the background. Just the background game and me just shooting the shit, you know. But in the meantime, we have MandaloreGaming's Weird West review. I have no idea what this game is. It's sorta I just saw this is a semi-recent MandaloreGaming video and this looked very interesting, so, and you know what? I'm just gonna give it a shot and see what this is. So yeah, let's just get in there. Oh, it's
from the co-founder of Arcade.
So seems like an isometric game.
And other minds that worked on Dishonored and Prey, comes a new company and a new immersive sim game. I've always thought
Okay. I swear to God, there was like an isometric POV. And now it's in first person. What the fuck is going on?
that term was weird and the genre can be hard to define sometimes. Like, oh, you have multiple solutions to problems, and there are RPG elements on occasion. The world has all these systems, so this might count. This is not one, and oh god, does this count? You can't even use the funny number anymore since even Call of Duty got in on that. A lot of people think that it should at least be in first person, on a baseline that puts you in the perspective of someone in the setting. So Alien Isolation counts, but not later Hitman games. The point is, people will argue back and forth over what stupid shit defines a genre until the end of time. Now we have Weird West, made by developers who created classic examples of the genre, being advertised as the genre, and it has the gameplay elements you would expect, except it's a top-down game. And it blends in elements from others with options all over the place. To top it off, you don't play as a single character throughout the game, but as 5. And what decisions you make can affect the world of your next character, and you can even recruit your past self to the cause. It feels like picking any one thing to define it isn't really doing it justice. And if you do pick a feature out to dig into, you can't get very far. But it is ambitious and has enough cool features and ideas to make it worth talking about. Plus, there are all the mods you can access through the main menu, like the first-person one. This was made by one of the game's developers, so I also think it's worth a look. So, as for the story setup, we're dealing with
so the first person thing is specifically a mod. I thought you can like switch between those perspectives, and I was like, how the fuck does any of this work?
5 main characters. You play one character's story, and then move on to the next. There's no switching back or bouncing around between them. Thankfully, that means we start simple.
Play your cards right, and coming out here could be the best thing that ever happened to you. If you can survive, that is. Because here's the thing. This ain't quite the Wild West as you know it. There are ancient powers at war with each other.
The setup to the world is vague and basically amounts to being the Weird West is weird. Even the name alone seems like a strange choice. Weird West is just a term for a genre mashup. You take a western and combine it with something more fantastical like supernatural horror or sci-fi. You know, something like Jonah Hex from Weird Western Tales, or Deadlands, or even... oh man. It would be like if Fallout was called pulp sci-fi. Though funny enough, that game's also on the list of inspirations here. But I will say that the more I played it, the more this title made sense to me. For now, you see a monster sending a bison into orbit, some kind of machete murderer pigman, a werewolf. This is all promising. And the story kicks off from here. What appears to be a cult is ritualistically branding one of its members. It's not clear how this goes as we're brought to our first character waking up screaming from the brand appearing on them. Outside, her son is murdered and her husband kidnapped by a local gang called the Stillwaters. Fairly bad morning so far. Well, this is Jane Bell, formerly retired bounty hunter, now back on the job to take revenge and rescue her husband. Or
Yo, fucking... really reminds me... really reminds me of the protagonist of fucking Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh my god, I literally forgot for some reason. John Red Dead Redemption. John Marston, holy fuck, when I speak to you, in my dear audience, in English, there is something fucking wrong with me. Like, I played Red Dead Redemption 2 to death. I know those characters. I know what they are called. I know what they look like. But when I try to... and I obviously play games in English. I don't play games in Polish or anything. But when I try to externalize those thoughts, speak them out loud, something suddenly breaks down. It's so weird, man. Like, I shouldn't have a problem. Like, talking about those names and those events and those games. Yet, here we are. I don't know how this happens. Is it because like English is not my native tongue? I have no idea. But yeah, what I wanted to say basically reminds me of John Marston and his story in like. Okay, I don't wanna say that because that might be a spoiler. But I'm gonna say like reminds me of his story in Red Dead Redemption 1. Uh, like that happens at the very beginning. He is like brought back into being a bounty hunter after like his family is kidnapped. I don't wanna say the thing about Red Dead Redemption 2 because that might be a spoiler.
Fuck
So
around in the yard and use her son's bones to club coyotes. Regardless, the Stillwaters also attack the local town of Grackle. They'll also be happy to see the Stillwaters laid to waste. Heading out to settle a score is about as western as it gets, so that's all I'll say about the story for now. You are seeing her family for the first time in the exact same moment it's being downsized, so I didn't feel that invested. But on a gameplay front, the moment you're set free, there is so much to interact with. It does pass the classic can you stack things up to reach a higher location test, but then you can bring a bucket to a pump and fill it with water, knock it over and spill it, come back as someone else and Molotov the chickens. The meat will cook right off the bone, instant tendies. Just be careful with fire, since in the right conditions, that can spread out of control. If the perspective alone gave doubts on what this game is, those go away real fast. Weird West has all kinds of systems going for it, and sometimes they interact in magical ways. Now that you're more up to speed on what this is all about, let's talk about the graphics. Going for a stylized, kind of comic book look is a good idea for their perspective and a nice throwback to Weird West as a concept. With the style, small items like coins and potions are able to pop out more. Because you do have your container interfaces that you can pilfer through like a lot of other games, but here items are frequently interactable objects in the world. They only highlight if you get close, there's no highlight everything option. Some RPGs have that since there are only a few pickups and interactables on screen at a time. Here, it's so dense it would be unreadable. It also makes a lot of other good uses of color contrast, since for most of the game you will be running around through the desert, but then you'll come across deep blues or purples or something else that strikes out at your eyes. It can get fantastical at points, but they keep the rest of the setting grounded enough looking that it doesn't get too wacky. Which is a hard balance when they have the old saloon and the temple to the ancient ones that close, but I think they were great at pulling that off. It's the Old West, sometimes the supernatural pops up, and you just gotta deal with it. I also dig the somber 1800s character portraits they have for everyone, and then they'll put the same kind of expression on a werewolf or a big pig man. I give the game a lot of credit for its jokes not being, look how silly our setting is, which is what writers do when they're embarrassed or insecure about their world. A lot of the humor here is in the mundane little details. When you play as a pigman, the repeated joke isn't, oh my god, a walking pig? Instead it's, wow, you dumb fucks can talk? It embraces the setting for its jokes, and a lot of them are little visual things you can miss. Everyone calls the Stillwaters dumb inbred hillbillies, but how stupid can they— oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, the game is complemented by nice lighting and shadows. There's some interesting art direction, and there are points where the game's style does make it look pretty rough. Overall though, the game looks good and fitting, no big issues there. As for the sound design, there are some strong highlights. In combat, using guns especially sounds great.
okay, something I don't
If you
vibe with right away is like seeing level 65 2-star Pigman Ravager. When I see something like that, I immediately associate with RPGs that use like levels as a crutch of sorts, especially when you see the enemy level like on his portrait. I will always like go back to Fallout New Vegas as an example of how you perfectly do an RPG. You get an idea of how strong a certain animal or a type of enemy is by getting fucking demolished by it at certain levels, and then you go, okay, if I have a weapon, if I have a little bit of a better weapon, I can cripple the creature's legs, and even though it's still tanky, I can take it down. Or at certain point, like you feel you grew to the level of that animal and you can take it on. But it doesn't feel like you leveled up. It feels like you really became this grizzled adventurer. On the other hand, you have something like The Witcher 3, which if an enemy is 3 levels higher than you, he gets a skull icon and the game artificially boosts his fucking stupid ass HP by like magnitude of 900%, and he two-shots you, and you will almost never win a fight with an enemy that has a skull icon next to it. And the only way to beat that guy is to go and level up. So that association is so strong, like that I have a literal, like I said, visceral reaction to seeing it on my screen. But hopefully it's a lot more like better thought out in this game. Guess we will see in the gameplay mechanics section.
Some strong highlights. In combat, using guns especially sounds great. If you let a gunshot hang for a moment, you can hear it echoing for miles around you. Then you get a proper gunfight. Beyond how bright and clear the gunshots are, the combat can start sounding very surreal at points. Sometimes a kill means hearing a distorted, echoed scream. It's like hearing their soul ripped away.
I gotta say, I'm really not a fan of this perspective. But that one is obviously just me and my preference. Like, I almost wish it was in first person instead of this. But at the same time, we have so many like first person games. I think people who prefer this type of view, they deserve some delicious food on their plate too. So it's good to see like a product actually look visibly very different than what you're used to.
This kind of feeling gets amplified by the soundtrack. You do get the music you would expect from westerns sometimes, like guitar flourishes or moody chords. Then you'll get tracks that are droning and ambient, and the guitar kind of creeps in.
Oh man, the shooting almost felt like it was part of the beat there. Holy. It fits so well, what the fuck?
But above everything else, I would call this an electronic soundtrack. The combat music can have this pulsing alarm feeling to it. You can't beat this game without killing any people, so it's like the soundtrack going, "Violence is a gruesome thing. Behold your sins." You get harsh, noisy sounds, and then it turns around and goes, you know what? Guns are hype sometimes. This time the fight will sound straight out of Samurai Jack. But no matter how hard they crank the percussion or twist things around, that little western element is always in there. So you end up with a really unique soundtrack, and for bonus points, some are by the game director's own band. This dude made Arx Fatalis.
Oh, that's...
The sound is carrying a lot of the surrealness. There aren't a ton of ambient
really
sound
cool.
effects, but you might start hearing some electric buzzing, or the sounds of a monster's stalking footsteps are just percussion. As for voice acting, It's all garbled, vaguely language-sounding noise, kind of like paratopic, but a little more pitched, like a Foogly answering machine. The only person with a voice is a folksy narrator.
That trapper, he wasn't right. Sick with that spirit of greed. Best report back to your village. Let him know the trail's hot.
In the end, it does succeed at making an uncanny atmosphere, but it is one that feels more distant and not just due to the perspective. It's not because of the visuals or sound design, because just looking at it, this clip looks great, but there are some issues that compound to make this kind of void I'll talk about later. For now, let's talk about the gameplay, since there's a lot to cover here. From the start, you've got a few difficulties to choose from. They mainly affect combat, but also how you heal. On easier settings, sleeping will heal up your bullet wounds and restore your action points for abilities. When it gets harder, sleeping only restores AP, and you need to heal in the classic MSIM way by using bandages and other medicine. And by other medicine, I mean a downright embarrassing mukbang. When food heals you, the world becomes your golden corral. Except that eldritch meat from some kind of desert monster is probably more like actual food than golden corral. If you've never heard of that chain, it has a chocolate trough and a buffet that they expect the golden corral audience to share. They might have gotten rid of this thing in a post-virus world, but the foul creations that the Trailer Park Oppenheimers came up with due to this fucking thing still haunt me. Golden Corral is an animal testing lab fronting as a restaurant. It's the Callisto Protocol. Just stop going there. I got off track, but it is worth bumping up to hard so you don't rest in every bed you see for an easy heal. Plus, characters can have all kinds of creative alternatives to check out. And you get enemies that are slightly more alert and slightly more dangerous. You can save whenever you want outside of combat, so it's not a huge deal unless you want to try an impossible mode. You still have a difficulty selector with this, but only one autosave, and you can only respawn by finding special items. It'll definitely up the tension, but it's not ideal for a first time run. As for the core gameplay, again, there are quite a few options. You can play it as the proper definition of a top-down game, use a free aim system, but the default and what the game is built around are twin-stick shooter controls. When I first picked it up, controlling the game felt awkward for the first hour or so. And looking at the UI on the screen, that seems more built around a controller, so I tried that out. It still wasn't fully clicking, so then I went back to actual clicking, and out of nowhere there was a moment where it all just came together. The active aiming, shooting, and dodging is solid. Every character also has a Max Payne or John Woo stranglehold dive they can do, and it does deplete your action points.
Okay, now we are talking.
But it feels natural to control. Every character is capable of flying across the screen, wiping some dudes out, and rolling into cover. What counts as cover is something you need to eyeball. There's no lock into the wall system or something like that. It would go against the gameplay freedom they're going for, but there are times where you feel like you're safe and you're still open to gunfire. Then sometimes the opposite can happen. My pig bro stuns out a bandito, but his friend's running up, so I move into cover. I seem taller than the boxes and was convinced he might get me, but the system is fluid enough that if you get up on an object, you will crouch down lower. It can feel awkward at points, but overall it's pretty solid. But there is an element that's awkward and one that's downright bad. As you explore the game, you'll find nymph relics. The nymphs were ancient, mysterious gremlin beings that you don't learn much about. Impossible mode, appropriately, has some bonus stuff related to them, but not enough to make something compelling. Whatever they were, the relics have mystical properties. By acquiring as many as you can through any means necessary, you can unlock abilities for your characters. To name a few, the bounty hunter can get a shrapnel mine and a mega kick, which work great together. The pigman has a melee charge and can leave a trail of toxic sludge behind him. Across
Fucking singed from League of Legends, what the hell?
Rivers is a hunter who can summon spirit bears and tornadoes. Desiderio Rios receives elemental powers from his gods and is a part-time werewolf. Finally, you have Constance Driftwood of the mysterious Onirist organization. The Onirists see the future and try to guide the West into the best one. It's like if the Bene Gesserit were formed in the same zip code as a Buc-ee's. So she can teleport a short distance and has other forms of outright magic. Sounds good so far, but for spending a little extra, you can unlock weapon abilities for every character. And unlike some other games, this one balances it well. You'll easily find enough relics to unlock all of your character abilities, and anything after that can go right into the weapons. The awkwardness comes from the sheer amount and how you use them. You have 5 types of mainline weapons that all have abilities. And that's not counting Molotovs, dynamite, or other kinds of grenades. Your character and weapon abilities use the exact same buttons. When you aim a weapon, it switches over to your weapon abilities, but there's a slight delay before it goes in. You can switch between 2 weapons quickly, but can open up a wheel to access the rest. Now, think of how frantic twin-stick shooter combat can be, and now you have abilities all tied to the same keys with a slight delay that are shifting around constantly. So when you get in a twitch reflex firefight, it is extremely easy to hit the wrong button and do something you didn't want to.
Oh. Oh, that sounds a little bit stinky. Like, this is a thing that you absolutely hear about. Like, I am hearing right now, right? From a review or a video, and you go, "Oh, that doesn't seem like a big deal, right? That's not a deal breaker or anything." And then you actually play the game and you realize how many times you actually fall victim to design like this. Like, I am playing through, on my own time, I am currently playing through Batman Arkham City. And it's a great game. It has like the Batman fantasy is realized superbly. You have like different gameplay sections so the game never feels too stale. But you have that a little bit of junk, and it's a tiny bit. Sometimes Batman will hit the wrong guy, somebody with a shield or with heavy armor, which instantly breaks your combo. Sometimes you see the icon for a counter, you press the counter button, and for some reason the attack goes through you, and the game doesn't register the attack at all, and Batman does the animation preparing for a counter and you lose your combo. Sometimes you hit the wrong guy, or he doesn't like use his gadget as quickly as you want it to, or he pulls away from danger way too slowly and you die because of that. And that fucking sucks, man. And it doesn't happen every time, but you definitely will come out after playing Arkham City saying, yeah, the experience is not perfect, there is quite a bit of junk there. And that's just like a tiny portion of it. So yeah, I can definitely imagine this getting in the way of my fun. Definitely.
You have to slow for a moment and look at the action icons to make sure you're not messing up. It might not be as bad if you were only switching between 2 weapons, but experimenting and adapting are the name of the game. It got better with time, but I never became fully comfortable with it. It's a lot of options, and weapon powers can have utility for something like stealth, but when things heat up, the system mainly adds clunkiness to the flow. And it doesn't help that the John Woo dive is always useful and always reliable. Under pressure, it overshadows cool options just because I know what to expect. When it comes to melee, character powers that use it, like the Pigman charge, are a blast. If you're sneaking, you can knock someone out with your hands or something more blunt, or equip something deadlier. All of that works fine, but the act of equipping and using a melee weapon in a proper fight is absolutely miserable. Because of how the ability system works, you have to aim your melee weapon like it's a firearm. Even when you win a fight that way, there's nothing satisfying about it. It doesn't help when your enemies can frequently avoid these attacks. And sadly, this extends into playing Desi's werewolf form, which I had really been looking forward to. He has elite power, which is fun, but using claws is the same old misery. Trying it out is some of the worst up-close fighting I've had in a twin-stick game. Though as
Man, just add a little bit of stun, of like hit stun to your attacks, so you see the reaction from the enemies and they, like, their current action gets cancelled. And always have your attacks semi locked on or locked in, so like they are more like animations that play out. For a game like this, it's perfect. Like, the type of controls Mandalore is describing seems like they would work for a first person like game with melee options, but for something like this, you need to lock your fucking character into an animation. when you hit the attack button. Because it feels like way more powerful when you hit somebody with that nice, cool looking animation rather than just swing and just damage is subtracted from his health bar and he doesn't react otherwise.
Compensation, Arcane's Dark Messiah Legacy carries on with a dedicated kick button. I guess that sums up the combat in its janky parts, though you could try tactical mode. This flat out toggles slow-mo on and off, which is better for the ability system, but removes a ton of the challenge, so not perfect. When it comes to the setting itself, there is a good amount of stuff being simulated. The world is similar to Fallout or some other RPGs, where you get to the edge of a location and can travel across an overworld. You break through the fog, and occasionally new locations will be revealed. You'll also have a chance of random encounters like traveling merchants, bandits, animals, and all kinds of other activities. Traveling can be faster, and some bad encounters can be avoided with the help of a horse. You can steal them for a temporary one-way trip, but these are weird West horses. They sometimes call out to gods, and I assume have other opinions, because when you get to a location with a stolen horse, they take off. They're loyal companions here. In real life, they're more like walking couches with a severe anxiety disorder. So buying a horse lets you store more items and see the map properly, instead of poor and unable to travel because someone needs to feed your couch. As you play different characters, new locations can open up, or existing ones can change hands. How the world evolves can be based on your choices. Going back to Jane the Bounty Hunter, you could rescue your husband without dealing with a Stillwater leader, or killing any of them, which
hold on a second, let me just refresh the window here. Okay, nice.
For later characters can mean the Stillwaters are still a present threat that show up in different locations. You do have the big decisions and dialogue that change the landscape, but the world is reactive in a way that most RPGs don't have. Like, you have your fairly standard crime and reputation system. You can become wanted and bounty hunters try to catch you, but there are different degrees in how areas might react to you. You could also single-handedly ride into town and massacre the population to the point it becomes a ghost town that's completely abandoned when you next come by. Something else might move in between characters. An area can go from a criminal hideout, to a monster lair, to a slaver base, to a thriving compound with a delivery quest for you, all in the same campaign. Which is cool to see, and this kind of stuff hits harder when it's the result of your actions. But the quest you get is MMO tier, go get this object, and while there can be some big changes and good character moments based on your actions, a lot of it does amount to set dressing. It also doesn't help when the locations start becoming repetitive. And I don't mean like clearly seeing the same assets rearranged, which does happen, but I mean being unlucky with bounty missions and being sent to Yeb's prize over and over again. The money was good, but I was so sick of the layout. I was thrilled to get a new location, which was basically just Yeb's prize again. This didn't happen on a following playthrough, so it was bad luck, but you are going to see repeated locations no matter what. There's also the fact that unlike Arcanum or Fallout or whatever, you're playing 5 characters. The best and most engaging part of exploring this way is the shifting perspective. What seemed odd as one character can suddenly make sense, or something you missed is suddenly very visible. The downside is, you're free to visit areas meant for other characters. Sometimes you come to a unique, interesting location and there is stuff for you to do there, and other times you're just getting a peek at it before someone else's journey. Or outright robbing their starting location, which is fun, but it can make the open exploration feel frustrating. They'll throw in items like perk cards to find, which are a second set of upgrades that pass through all your characters. These are all more passive, but do change up how you play the game, but these and Nymph relics aren't guaranteed, and they don't feel that rewarding. But I was exploring because there were missions and things to find that were extremely good. To give a minor example, 2 of them were worried something bad was happening in their town. There were a few people suspected of being behind it, but nothing concrete. You can investigate them, or you might know what the kids are describing and look for different clues, and then figure out how you proceed from there. There are good side stories like that, and also the repetitive go get my pants quests. And even the more engaging side content doesn't go too far into the characters. I mean, just looking at it, it seems like an RPG that would have all these side stories and weirdos, but the farther you go off the main path, the more it feels like panning for gold and getting teeth. It can remind me more of playing Mountain Blade over Fallout. It's more of a sandbox, which is great news if you do like all the systems. But it also feels like it's at war with itself sometimes. But before I get into that, there are a lot of great moment-to-moment features. So many that I'm sure I didn't notice some. The sheer volume of little reactivity things are impressive, but some are more highlighted. Like if someone dies in a town, they'll get their own grave plot and you can squeeze that market. There might also be nice shinies in those holes. NPCs can form relationships like marrying each other, and if you kill one of their family members, they might go on a vendetta. And you can encounter them later in your story, or another character's story if you bring them along. There's also an opposite effect where if you help someone out, they might become a friend for life. When you're losing a fight, they'll show up to help, but you can also still find them around in the world somewhere. And these relationships are tied to individual characters who can die like anyone else. Your past lives are also capable of dying, and you can beat the game killing just about everybody. Most mainline missions have several ways of accomplishing them, and breaking that down even further, you can do it in all kinds of ways with the interactivity. You get in a gunfight and someone shoots a lamp that spills oil everywhere and ignites, and then that heat turns the boxes of 44 into Jiffy Pop. There's tons of room to experiment, and having multiple characters does give you extra room there. You could play everyone as purely good or evil, but mixing it up gives you more to appreciate. The bounty hunter could be good, and you can make the pigman good too on the long hard road to redemption. Or have him emulate Brazil's deadliest black hat, Django Bravo. At times it could seem like he's struggling to make it to the next scene, and that's very in line with the pigman.
Esse pastel é de hoje?
Não, senhor, é de carne.
Ninguém debocha Django Bravo.
Fuck is that movie?
You can shoot everyone in the face and not break the story, and that's worth trying.
Mas tomou cunhaque?
Ninguém debocha Django Bravo.
Every time I've launched this game, I've found little fun details every time. Without a doubt, Weird West has earned the funny number, but it's where the other genres push in harder that it hurts itself. As a sandbox, you can set up camp wherever you want, hunt and skin animals, and sell the meat on the market, or cook the meat, or make items out of it, or wait until nightfall and break into shops and rob them blind. Then you have the more RPG side of the game, like party members. They still have those dynamic elements, like interacting with objects around them, but with their presence, you can actually feel the genre shifting over. Whether you're recruiting brand new buddies or your past characters, all followers work exactly the same. It is a good idea just to interact with your past self once to have money and other items transfer over. But if you bring them along for the ride, they'll fight alongside you and use their abilities in combat. These can make the fights wild, like Across Rivers gets good at putting people beneath ground when he uses that tornado. The main issue is that they wanted followers to be helpful, but not intrusive at the same time. For convenience, when you're sneaking, the AI is not supposed to be able to see your followers. This bugs out and happens anyways sometimes, but usually they'll run all over the map and no one notices them. Which looks awkward when everything is supposed to be so simulated, but when combat does break out, they'll sometimes charge right into the head of it and the fighting becomes headless chickens. It makes the game way easier, but also plays more mindlessly. If that's the case, you think you might just want to dismiss them, but then you miss out on extra inventory space, all the party banter, the unique encounters and interactions that you would expect from a classic RPG. But you don't have that level of control. You can't switch between characters or order their attacks. Just the act of equipping them compared to equipping yourself is so clunky and awkward. But the game will drop valuable items for you in about the amount of an RPG. The itemization and effects of them are actually very meaningful and balanced. There's just so much actual stuff you get. Weird West's biggest issue is that features are good in a vacuum or synergize with a few other things. But stuff like this lacks cohesion to the point that it's ripping itself in half. Do you want an immersive sandbox that's more barren on character moments, but you're in the center? You'll pull off all kinds of shenanigans. Or do you want that RPG experience which has more character moments and humanity, but it's also clunky and barely surface level since they should be doing their own thing as an immersive sim? And there are so many other tools and interactions that I won't go into detail here on. Because the core issue doesn't change, these are just more details. I'm sorry if this feels more all over the place than usual, but it's very reflective of the game. It has so much going on that it's genuinely hard to describe easily. I feel so lost. To complete the frustration, it is a buggy game. And while there wasn't anything game-breaking, some moments got close. It's a lot more polished than it used to be, and some are just visual or are fixed on a load, but it is noticeable. And there are details in games you take for granted that might not show up here. You don't always have transition animations between states, which is fine. It can be an issue when you're trying to sneak, and enemies only have it on some idle animations. You see it in the wild enough, but it feels very different when you get caught by it. And I wouldn't say the jank is biased against you because it works in your favor too. And hey, on the day I recorded this, I discovered if you knock someone out in their bed, it won't alert guards because they figure they're sleeping. I have to stop. The first person mod is interesting in that aspect because their attention to detail was so high that even in this state, it does work. It is even jankier here, after all it's not officially supported, but as far as creating an interactable world goes, they completely succeeded. It's just that these other elements were pulling away from its core, but that was the experiment. So much is wonderful and so much is disjointed, and that leaves me with the story and world. Beyond the exploration issues, playing in a world full of variables with 5 characters where near anyone can die means that it's hard.
I wonder how good like the first person mode actually is for you to play the sort of like the entire game. Because I look at this game, I look at this perspective, listen to some of those problems Mandalore is talking about, and I'm not even slightly interested in this game, even though I love me some fucking Wild West settings, you know, especially when you mix it with something very weird, like zombies, like fucking werewolves, vampires. I am all about that. But like the gameplay, I don't know about this gameplay. Like it doesn't, like to me personally, obviously, it doesn't seem all that fun. But maybe in that first person, like things could be better, like for me. So I guess I would have to like look up how this actually plays in first person mode before trying this for myself.
To get something that narratively interesting out of it, at least when it comes to the characters. Jane's family is gone right as we're learning how to play. It's the same with the other characters, where you're dropped into a struggle in their lives, complete it, and then move on. My favorite journey was the Pigman because he also has proper amnesia and doesn't know why he's a pigman. And I know that amnesia is the khaki pants of game stories, but his experience gives you more of the stranger in a strange land feeling that this game probably should have leaned into more. And thematically, it ties into the main story a lot more directly. I thought Weird West was an appropriate title because of how blunt it is. It's a take it for what it is approach that doesn't have much obviously interesting happening for most of the game. While there are some creepy monsters and ideas, there's not enough unique to really latch onto in the setting. For the most part, you're told very little about it, and since the characters are so vague too, you have very little to connect to. It's a shame because when conversations are happening, they're good, but you've mostly been dropped into the middle of things. The strongest are the people you encounter in every form, like Essex Mass, the man searching for immortality, and Heathen, a mysterious witch who seems to know you're the same person. And it's not that the others are bad. I really liked Pigman Joe and Sheriff Albright, but right when they're getting interesting, you've already moved on. It's like playing a role-playing game, and right when you learn some secret or nuance about one of your companions, you can't talk to them anymore. The game is about getting window glimpses into the struggles and cultures of people all across the West. And this part isn't a mistake, it's the whole point. I get what they're going for, and it actually reminds me a lot of Arx Fatalis, but it's something that I think sounds more interesting described than to actually play. I'll be brief, but if you don't want spoilers, go to here.
That is very brief, a minute and a half.
The main mystery is
Holy.
about why all these characters are connected by the brand and what was happening in that cult room. Well, Essex Mass believes he can get immortality by stealing it from an immortal. There's a mysterious figure named Aleph who has somehow been weakened, and Essex thinks that he can steal his powers. He also thinks the brand on you has something to do with body possession. That alone is enough to put a lot of it together, it's more how and why. Beyond the gameplay, the plot itself is also an experiment. 4,000 years ago, a group called the 21 discovered a wishing tome with only 2 wishes left. Aleph wished for all of them to be immortal, but as the ages passed, they realized that being immortal is horrible. They were far beyond their humanity at this point, and when they wished it reversed, the book refused. So Aleph learned enough about magic to launch an experiment. He would possess 5 struggling people in the West, and living through their lives, would possibly regain his humanity and his mortality. If it fails, the 21 will use the last wish to destroy the universe, since they figure that'll kill them off. There's no final showdown or grand finale, it's a quiz. The 21 will ask you about your actions and why you made them, and how you answer determines the fate of the universe. If you have humanity behind your answers, the plan works, they all consume you and die. And you get a cutscene showing how all of your actions affected the world. Answer like a robot and the universe dies. Even other characters remark on how anticlimactic everything is. The individual stories can have their moments, and Essex can get a payoff too, but because my connection to the world and characters was distant due to this approach, I didn't feel invested. Weird West feels like an experiment from genre veterans, and some results are promising, and others feel like splashing acid on my arm. I wish it had more meaningful side stories and opportunities to know the characters better, because there is a ton of fun stuff here, but it's rotating around an orb of emptiness I can't quite define. Overall, I liked it. I convinced the Goblins to knock it 65% off in the pinned link, and you can get it for free on Game Pass and probably other stuff like that. Especially if you like MSims or sandbox games, it's definitely worth a look. I was surprised at how good some parts of the game were, and how much it clashed with itself. There's so much ambition and so much to appreciate that I wish I could say it was amazing and just scream its praises, but it's just too all over the place. Wolfeye is worth supporting, and they're working on a new game, which I'm extremely interested to see. So check it out if you know what you're getting into. Because there was no bison hunting monster that sent them into orbit, only I went into orbit.
Fica ligado, não tenho medo de você.
Ligue de bocha, jumper.
Yeah, this doesn't really seem like a title I would be interested in.
Originals aren't going anywhere. The real question is, why didn't they make Pathways into Darkness the extraction shooter? That would be perfect. Bungie, please do something with Pathways into Darkness.
Oh, is he talking about Marathon?
But the trilogy's story was done, and done so beautifully. Actual campaign game. Checked it out and you like fighting games? You should, because it's wild.
I actually
Thoughts on the new Marathon game? Well, it is an extraction shooter, and like everyone else, I would have liked to see an actual campaign from Bungie again. But the trilogy's story was done, and done so beautifully that you could only do a reboot or a spin-off. I am condensing because I could go on for a while, but overall, I'm happy people are talking about Marathon. And if it is a horror show, the originals aren't going anywhere. The real question is, why didn't they make Pathways into Darkness the extraction shooter? That would be perfect. Bungie, please do something with
Holy shit, yeah, that's a great idea, actually. But I guess Marathon also has some of like those locations and stories that you can turn into like recovering alien tech from, you know, like crashed ships or like bases of any of like the factions mentioned in Marathon. Unless it's a complete reboot that like turns its back on all of the story. There's also no telling like how story heavy it will be. Like at this point it's a guessing game if like even the title will amount to anything or not. And yeah, when it comes to Weird West, looks kinda cool, but it's definitely not a game for me, I'm afraid. I love the...
If you can survive, that is.
I love the presentation though. It looks clean as all hell, man. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Weird West review by MandaloreGaming. Just a simple little look at an interesting game. Let's see if there's anything interesting going on in the comments. I love how in this game, if you keep robbing stores, they go out of business. And there's dozens of people online who are asking why stores are going out of business when they keep robbing them. Through poetry. As a Brazilian, I almost jumped off my seat with all the Django Bravo references. It's really hard to explain how obscure this one is, even for Brazilians. I am baffled, thank you. Nothing that interesting. Okay, so we'll be moving on to an
Do not play this.
Jesus fucking Christ. right away. We'll be moving on to an incorrect summary of Elden Ring, part 2 by Max0r. And I'm gonna go,
Do not play the.
whoops. I'm gonna go grab myself some good old refreshing Pepsi and be right back. Okay, and here I am, back to see an incorrect summary of Elden Ring, The King and the Serpent by Max0r. I was about to say by MandaloreGaming. He's just Max0r, but he definitely do be gaming. Leah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I completed Elden Ring, like beat the game, went on to New Game Plus just to complete some achievements. Like I was missing one specific thing because one of the weapon, like only one weapon in this entire game is missable, I think, which is kind of insane. But yeah, like I beat the entire Elden Ring. I beat all the main bosses. I didn't beat some of the copy pasted dungeon things, and God damn, what a magical experience. Holy. Elden Ring is such a fun game, man. Especially in co-op. Especially if you are playing in like a designated co-op mod that allows you to like use torrent, for example, together. Man, what a game. Absolutely worth your money. Jesus Christ. But let's see what Mandalore ran across in his playthrough. For example, I didn't do the boss he's clearly doing at the end of this episode. Like that boss, I only came back to do nearly at the end of the game because I wanted to do the whole Volcano Manor questline first before killing him. So yeah, like I didn't experience this boss quote-unquote properly at all.
Do not play this video in the dark, it is very scary. The lands between. So beautiful, so tranquil. Until I showed up. Welcome back everyone to Elden Ring, one of the games of all time, featuring deep role-playing mechanics, riveting combat, cool math games, happy Wii hosts, and probably a story so convoluted that entire YouTube channels exist just to tell you about it. I do not know much about the lore, but I do know one thing. Melania is definitely the Blade of Mikola. When we last left off, we had endured great pain and suffering in our quest to destroy the cast of Percy Jackson. But do not worry, the pain has only just begun, and if you somehow haven't seen the first part, then that's fine. I have also seen JoJo. So with the Elden Ring shattered and scattered among America's inbred dipshits, it's time to tear our way through enemies aplenty, attempt to—
Okay, not all of Marika's children are inbred, to be fair, but some of them are.
To find a girlfriend, almost impossible, and test the true strength of my hardware, because this will be our greatest challenge yet, and also the easiest challenge for the rest of the game.
Is Rykard that hard? Like I said, I kinda approached him from the end, so... Okay, I have to ask, are you trying to have sex with me a real Alex Jones quote? Is that fucking real? Holy fuck.
Last time on Blatant Copyright Infringement.
Man, Max0r over edits those videos for no reason.
Fair Use Edition, we struggled to take Grandpa off his life support with violence, delivered Garfield his precious lasagna, and finally convinced Joseph Hussein Biden to end it all with nuclear fire. I'm dead serious. Wow, that was fucking crazy. I better fast travel to the third Impact Evangelion. We're moving at a real breakneck speed. You know, just when I was thinking this game can't possibly get bigger, it gets significantly bigger. I'm not sure if the developers are okay, especially since they're trapped in the same room as that man. It turns out nuclear weapons are a great way to excavate the Earth, and there are no long-term consequences, which means we've got an entirely new area to explore, hiding just beneath our feet. And no, we're not going to visit the Blue Man Group again. I still have the nightmares. Wait a second, this is Michigan. I need to leave as soon as possible.
Hello, traveler.
Ah, it's a woman.
I'm possessed of 4 arms, and that is what tickles thy fancy?
Pringles can.
Art thou of no more brain than stone?
Can you speak English?
Can you throw yourself into a wood chipper? Listen, I have never seen a caucasoid run that fast. They kept yelling, "Go, white boy, go."
Okay.
I shall need thy help to run my errands.
May I ask why?
No, I'm going through a tunnel right now. Your signal is breaking up.
I apologize for that. I may not have known at the time, but this was the beginning of an absolute rabbit hole, one that would lead me to dangerous and disturbing territory in the future. This shit makes Blighttown look like a playground. Welcome everyone to the Nether Fortress. It's 3 rooms long.
No, not actually true, because Blighttown Because Blighttown was confusing. Lake of Rot was at least very simple layout-wise. But Blighttown, oh my god, all of those ladders, man. Holy fuck. Also, if you happened to be playing the Superior Edition, which is the old version of the game, your frames would drop to like 10 frames per second for added bonus challenge.
And filled with naked and hostile women, which is my preferred enemy. I've always wanted to be a police officer. This is just like my favorite Japanese anime, Kill the Cats. And if that's a little too intense for you, don't worry. There are dozens of skinwalkers waiting around every corner. Just knowing that makes me feel very comfortable. But my favorite enemy in the entire level is in fact myself. Me. I am the boss of the level.
The easiest boss.
We're out here.
The easiest boss in the game. Literally yourself. That's
going after Shadow
sad.
Peter Pan. I'm forced to fight the only bitch that I trust. Gonna lay a fucking smackdown on Dark Link. This battle is a unique concept to say the least. It perfectly copies and uses your entire inventory. And yes, this does mean you can unequip your weapon and laugh at him for the whole fight. He literally cannot damage me in this state. Not that you would need it, because if there's anyone in the world who knows how to keep me down, it is myself. This boss's weakness is naked anime women. But overall, it was a great experience taking revenge upon the man who ruined my life. Unfortunately, as a result of that battle, I have destroyed a part of myself. I have killed my artistic integrity. Hey guys, I built an entire torture chamber for animals in hardcore Minecraft, and if you want to see how I exterminate the innocent, stick around until I kill my son. I feel like if you showed this video to a Victorian child, he would die instantly. And speaking of dying, we've returned again to Jump Scare Junction. That's right, I lied to you. I give Dora the wrong directions. This area is an identical copy of the last time, complete with the same puzzle, the same enemies, and the exact same boss, but this time he's glowing, just like this video. Now don't get me wrong, I love beating Canadians to death, but why? Please do not subject me to more Canuckin boss torture. Now as for the rest of the area, it's pretty nice, you know, kinda short, introduces the brand new Sapient Sphere type enemy. That's okay though, I too have seen Steel Ball run, but what I really want to find is this knife, which is a surprise tool that will help us later. With this, I may now cause many kitchen nightmares. Let's go talk to someone who actually knows what's happening right now. Not you, though the alternative isn't much better.
Hey, Tarnished.
Yeah, hi.
I see you've come to me with LondonBinKnife.png.
So you know what it is then?
No, but if you desire a refund, I must redirect you to Ronnie the Witch in her Karian call center. Only then can you rebate your purchase.
Oh, I've met Ronnie before. She's, interesting.
But I must warn you, Tarnished, the temptation of a blue gash is strong beyond belief. I too have felt the call of her puppet hands upon my tackle. Just imagine, Tarnished, what those 4 armpits must smell like.
I'm going to leave now. Welcome everyone to Horrors Beyond Comprehension, a land of the...
You know what? I feel like Max0r gave Seth the script, right? And he started reading the script. And those bits at the end feels like he added some of his own lines. I'm not saying that what's happened, right? I'm just saying that's how it feels like.
Hands, as it were. The finky dinky. Making my way here was a treacherous affair. I had to dodge.
Man, I fucking hate those hands. Still one of my most hated common enemies in the game.
The magical artillery using my immense skill. This place, however, is anything but safe. I would describe it a bit like the SpongeBob perfume department. You simply need to get through it, but you will lose a part of yourself. There are hands everywhere, in the ground, on the ceiling, and within my nightmares. They are 90% of the enemies, and the remaining 10% kind of remind me of myself in a really strange way. My name is Yoshikage Kira. I'm 23 years old and making YouTube videos. As it turns out, the Queen of Caria going insane in Hogwarts had implications for the kingdom, and one of those implications, kind of slaps, you know, like a hand. I too would kill myself if I was written by J.K. Rowling. I can't even search for pictures of normal Knuckles on Google because I keep getting this fucking echidna. Human Knuckles just makes it worse. Now, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So after dealing with my Oni-chan and killing the only normal people for miles, the game just gives up and has us fight a ghost instead.
Oh man, Loretta is
I've always wanted to kill a white woman. Also, I'm available at this address. This fight is actually an iteration on the previous Tree Sentinel boss, so it's a really good thing that I beat him. You could say I have a lot of practice with the moveset. This time, however, we've got a copious amount of magic, even greater speed, and a horse ghost, which implies that there is a horse hell. Horses don't belong in the battlefield. They belong in the McDonald's menu. I can't even turn the bastard into glue anymore. This is just like George Orwell's Animal Farm. In summary, this boss is good, but nothing we haven't seen before or will see in 5.
If this is
Animal Farm. In some
if this is like George R.R. Orwell's Animal Farm, which one of them is the fucking pig?
This boss is good, but nothing we haven't seen before or will see in 5 minutes. The magic earns her a really comfortable spot in B tier right next to herself, but that is a story for part 19. So for now, I'm just gonna send her to a farm upstate. By the way, I played this game for
am I the only one who actually had a fucking problem with that boss? Maybe I like approached her early or something. Like her second encounter with her was so fucking easy in comparison to me, like, personally.
$130 and I haven't slotted a spell. Now, as a full metal consequence of my vehicular manslaughterito, we have finally unlocked Ronnie's Rise and my favorite part of the game, Ningyo Romansu Shimureta. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the writing on this one. I just don't really care for the Blythe arc where he eats the classroom. But to get to that, we have to fight the most dangerous and powerful boss of them all, the copy-paste key. If we can teach magic to fucking dragons and dogs, I don't even know why we try. The most powerful wizards can be found in a zoo. You know, at least he's gone. He has chosen peace. I guess all that's left to do now is enter Toyota High School so I can finally meet the love of my life.
How the fuck did you do that?
Do what?
Ohayo gozaimasu.
She says, her long hair swaying in the Among Us Morbius Among Us sus.
So, why are you here exactly?
Oh god, the game actually prompts you. I really gotta think about this one.
Tell you what, I'm also in the business of killing God. I want to restore the good old-fashioned values upon which we used to rely.
Is that a bad thing?
For you. Now, are you going to join or not?
Oh god, she doesn't know I'm a sub.
Wonderful. Your first mission is to kill my brother, Satan. You can find him inside his volcano.
Are you trying to kill me?
Don't come back until one of you is dead.
Well, I guess that's it then. Time to take the elevator so I can talk to my sleep paralysis demon.
Greetings, Tarnished.
Oh god, not him.
It is I, Brian Dog, from Family Guy.
Please leave me alone.
I'm not really here right now, so please...
God damn it, it's an answering machine.
At the tone, please record your message.
Finally, it's time to
continue. Nothing about that fucking bastard Seluvius or whatever the fuck is his name? Man, Hey, I had that weird glitch in Dark Souls 1 with its wyvern. Where it despawned? Which one? The one on the bridge? Oh yeah, he fucks off permanently if you like progress deep into the game, I think. Man, the fucking Dark Souls 1 wyvern is so buggy. I mean... Certain parts of Dark Souls 1 are just a fucking mess. I still love it. Yeah, I was about to say, you can't swing at Seluvius in Elden Ring right when you meet him, right? Because I would fucking swing at him like right away. Like I remember as soon as I stepped into New Game Plus, when you come out of the tomb at the beginning of the game and I saw Vare, I just fucking swung at him right away before he even got a word out. Man, Elden Ring has some fucking... Elden Ring has like wins the award for the most amount of NPCs that really goddamn grind my gears in a FromSoft game.
Continue playing the game, and to get to the aforementioned volcano, we must first ascend. We have to elevate our consciousness so I can have my date with Ronnie Senpai. Fortunately,
the bridge wyvern just walked off, teleported around until he teleported away. I have a video of it. Okay, something to that degree never happens to me. I know there is like there are problems like when you run under the wyvern. I know he flies away, and the trigger for him respawning and coming back to the bridge so you can collect like that Drake sword, those triggers are a subject of fucking mystery, speculation, goddamn fucking... It's basically eldritch knowledge, but I never seen him like bug out and teleport away. That's a little bit funny. If it's the guy who says you are maidenless in the beginning, then yes, you can attack him. No. Soluvius is the guy with like the... He looks like a wizard. He's in the Rani Tower. He has like that steel mask. And he's an absolute cunt to you when you speak to him for the first time in the game. He gives you that potion to give to Nefeli Lux. That you can, I think you can give it to Dung-Eater to troll him too. Because I'm pretty sure like the Rani Tower has that safe place buff where you cannot swing your weapon at all, so I'm pretty sure you cannot kill him right away. But I'm not sure about his own tower, or if you need to kill him via doing a quest.
For us, there is an elevator. Thank God the Mountain of Death is wheelchair accessible. You just gotta watch out for the falling rocks. I'm beginning to get the impression that I'm not wanted here. So we enter the absurdly large elevator, custom built and designed for the new American male, and place our keys in the ignition like a sedan. Welcome every pony bazinga to the Altus Plateau, land of the fourth demigod and his magic treehouse. I originally meant to go to the volcano immediately, but this area is the world's biggest set of dangling keys. There are two paths we can take to traverse this area. The road of proper, upright civilization, or the forest of immaculate pain. You know, I did both of them, but this one is funnier. Welcome everyone to the Worm People Dimension, a region totally unique in how it decides to kill me. You see, the inhabitants have a special status effect called death, and the effect of death is that it kills you rather painfully, and there's quite a few of them. My favorite example is definitely Wormface, who is called that for no reason. All of his attacks are basically instant kills. I think it could be better to take the stealthy approach here. Hey,
yeah, I never actually fought this field boss.
Guys, Max0r here, and today we're going to be sneaking into Big Shell. Right, and you have to stop the Facebook algorithm. It's giving people pronouns. So after navigating the Impale Jail, or just teleporting past it, because you can do that, we continue exploring Bikini Bottom so I may find the maniac. Just don't turn around on the bridge, because, he is there. So for the next part of our journey, we make our way to the Windmill Village, which is, apparently a fun time. You know, I may be a fan of older women, but this is a bit much. These bitches really do be reenacting the plot of Midsommar in the local retirement center. Honestly, this area is pretty dope as long as you don't make them angry. Don't worry, women are very easy to calm down. So with our domestic situation now under control, we walk for 3 seconds until the boss just kind of approaches you, just like Dio and his stand. Welcome back, everyone, to the official IGN walkthrough. And today we're gonna be fighting Slenderman. Gotta collect those 8 pages. His attacks are fast, really fast, and his combos are longer than my video schedule. If you ever think you're safe against this boss, think harder. This man goes harder than a police officer in the Black Sea. And to make things worse, we have a second phase which made me scream audibly. Finally, the Spaghetti Code. I haven't really fought a boss that required an exorcist before, but thankfully the priest was better at the game than me, so that's not the last time we're gonna see him, although I wish it was. So with Friedrich Fastbear once again confined to his pizzeria, we approach the fabled Gate of Healthy Eyeballs, and after being welcomed very nicely by the residents, we catch a glimpse of our next destination. The next destination hurts my eyes. All you have to know is that I really want to get there because I'm a moth. And also this anime girl. Naturally, my first instinct was to head to the front door, like the feds outside my house. But these instincts were not correct. Also, some people say my videos are too fast, so here's a dog. So instead of whatever that is, we need to take the side route to get in. I have to skulk cantankerously towards my devilish deeds. But upon reaching the back rooms, we find that the way is blocked by the dreaded, most powerful enemy of the entire game. That's right, the copy-paste key is back, and this time he's tired of my shit.
Are you ready? You're so bad.
This battle is really difficult, not because the moveset is new, but because I have exhausted my horse jokes. To put this another way, he's tougher than my dad and hits harder than his belt. Not much is different this time around though, except for the damage. That is very new. This is just like my Redmi Note 11 Pro when I criticized the Chinese government. Overall though, this boss is a very cool reskin and a literal gatekeeper for the content ahead, which is why I decided to exploit him using my horse, just like the Mongols. Absolutely peak game design right here. I'm very impressed. 1 second, guys, I need to answer my phone. So, with the evil lies of capitalism out of the way, it's finally time to head inside. This is what we've been building up for 13 entire minutes. And when I got there, I was so taken aback by what I saw that I fell off a cliff and died. Great start. Welcome everyone to Listerine, Royal Capital, a land that pleases the eyes and destroys my ears. The sound of the Smurf Jamboree is fucking inescapable. We're gonna hear it for the rest of the level in the form of my tinnitus. Look at this shit. Look how fucking...
I love the little mushrooms dooting on their little horns.
Big it is. And yes, we can visit all of that, the entire city. Do you see that dragon? You can climb it. These enemies, they can climb me when I am 6 feet under. Enter the buildings, peruse the streets, find new enemies and die to them. We've got a little bit of everything here in Portland, Oregon.
Listen, if you've been exploring properly up to this point,
peruse the streets, find...
This fucking enemy is not new. It's not new at all. In fact, this is like the 5th fucking time I have fought it, and I was so goddamn tired of fighting this fat tree fuck. But thankfully, my GF spec'd into incantations, and she had a bunch of fucking fire spells that wreck his shit. So, oh my god, Elden Ring went insane with the copy and paste when it comes to I forgot what this dude is called, but this guy and the ulcerated tree spirit, the copy pasting went too far, man. Like, holy shit, some of those enemies should have been like their encounters in the entire game should have been halved.
New enemies and die to them. We've got a little bit of everything here in Portland, Oregon. This game is Dark Souls 4, 5, and fucking 6. So I ask again, are the developers okay? Do they sleep? So after our encounter with Band Class, we move throughout the city, becoming acquainted with its welcoming residents. And there are so many different paths that it's actually hard to talk about. You can go down the streets and die, go through the storm drain and be dragged to the depths of hell, where the Catholics go. Or you can go to the bad side of town and die to the exploding worm. I hesitate to call this a level because this is a goddamn experience. Just don't enter this innocuous well because you'll have to fight the poo and piss men. Seriously, this is an entire dungeon in and of itself, and it's more convoluted and confusing than a woman. I want to get off Mr. Miyazaki's wild ride. Please let me see my family. But that is a story for
the ride never ends, man.
Probably never, because it's guarded by the demigod of incest. I will have to deal with him later, preferably after he stops dealing with me. So once I finish up preening the garden and becoming one with the graveyard, we ascend to the next level of consciousness and begin making our way to the palace above. It's pretty beautiful, but I would suggest installing railings, because I am stupid. And also this anime. Speaking of which, here's the, next boss. He just kind of appears there. Gotta fight Casper the Unfriendly Piss. Now, I could get into this boss, maybe talk about how he helped my insides experience fresh air, but he is, very phoned in, and we're going to get quite familiar with him later. And also, he has a stand, so that's how you know he's gay.
That's not even his stand, that's his limiter, bro. It's more of a problem with open world games in general, but encounters like this in general make me lose interest. See, that's the thing about Elden Ring. I don't agree with that sentiment. I think Elden Ring would have been fine, completely fine, if they put in less dragons, less ulcerated tree spirits, and less of that fucking... that fat guy spawning in like projectiles was spaced out somewhat okay. So I don't even think he was that bad. But I think like anyone you speak to about Elden Ring, they will tell you the ulcerated tree spirit copy and pasting was too much. And I personally think the dragon fights were the non-boss dragon fights. That's the wrong way to say it. What I mean is that every open world game in general has encounters that make you go, "Oh, this again." Yeah, okay, that I agree with, for sure. But Elden Ring is a special case where sometimes, because like I think every single enemy is copy pasted at least once, but you never are like, you know, you fight Moog twice. One fight is just his level, just his phase 1, and the second one is both phases. And you go like, yeah, they had to populate the world. That's fine. I had no problem with fighting him twice, fighting Godfrey twice, fighting the fucking like fighting most of the bosses twice, especially in like side areas, side dungeons, I was completely fine with. But that fucking oscillated tree spirit, there is one area where there is 3 of them at once. 3 of the same fucking mini-boss enemy at once. I swear to God they did this on purpose. They were leaning into the joke with how much they fucking copy-pasted that mini-boss. Holy fuck. One fight against Moog is the real fight. The second time is when you use the Death Star beam and one-shot him. I legitimately don't know if you're talking about the second time being like his actual real fight. I had a problem with that fucking fight. Even though I was like at the end of the... I was at the end of the game. Like, Moog was hard as fuck to me. Literally, I think second hardest boss after Malinia. Or maybe the Fire... But Fire Giant I don't consider hard. Fire Giant I consider very fucking poorly designed. I hate the Fire Giant. Doesn't the beam wreck those 3 spirits too? I had the beam. The fucking Comet Azure thing. And yeah, kinda, but if there's like 3 of them, at some point you run out of the physic for infinite mana and you have to fight them normally, and they are not. They are not fun to fight, and at that point you are like, oh my god, I am fighting this fucking tree spirit for this literally 10th time. I have no I have no fight left in me. Just get this off my screen. But maybe before that last encounter I respec into, because I started as yeah, I had the beam, the Azure Comet, or whatever it's called. And then by the end of the game, I respec into twin rapiers, with one of them applying bleed and one of them applying Scarlet Rot. So maybe I had to fight the 3 of them in melee. But like I said, Fire Giant is a sad case because it's very hard to design giant enemies in a way that is both challenging and fun. The only game that did it great was Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, you're probably right. I just hate honestly hate Fire Giant's weapon in his first phase. He uses like this fucking a goddamn plate thing, and the hitbox is so huge, and it doesn't make sense because it's not a conventional weapon, so it's hard to internalize how you are even supposed to dodge that fucking piece of shit plate. I way more enjoyed like his fucking second phase where he was basically spamming fire magic because I could understand that better. But there are some like bigger enemies in this game I appreciate. Like the what was it? The Dragon Lord Placidusax or whatever is a solid fight. Clearly like inspired by MandaloreGaming from Dark Souls 3, which MandaloreGaming is also huge, and it's a great ass fucking dragon fight. So yeah. Okay, let's get back into the video though.
Since this boss is technically a memory, we're just gonna forget that he exists. Maybe should have done that during the fight. So all that's left to do now is get into the giant tree so I can finally kill God. I've always had a grudge against that guy. After all, he made the British Isles, and some crimes cannot be forgiven. Ah, if it isn't my old friend. The Tarnished who gets no bitches and stacks no paper. How are you alive exactly? How are you still single? Once I called the demigods family, but that was before I became racist. Though your tenacity deserves praise, it is for naught. For I have never lost a debate. What the fuck is wrong with you? Cancel culture strikes again. Oh god, this fight is good. Like, really fucking good. I just didn't sign up to play Sekiro today. That quirked up white boy do be busting it down sexual style, and his secret is methamphetamine. This shit is fast. Very, very fast. Faster than a Genshin player's trajectory to prison. So fast that the hammer...
Man, fucking... Like, almost all the main bosses in Elden Ring are so solid.
Doesn't even wait for phase 2. They call him Home Depot DoorDash because he's delivering the tools straight to you. Also, yes, I can make his weapon change color at will. It's like a speed run for epileptics. But what makes this fight difficult is not just the speed, not just the mobility, and definitely not just the damage, although there is a lot of that, but just how many fucking moves this man has, and all of them have different attack speeds, so have fun with that. This time around, we've got daggers, hammers, spears, a lot of swords, and a little bit of trolling. I remember when Dark Souls bosses were just an obese man. We were so young, but this does beg the question, why was Morgott just hanging out in front of Stormvale? Was he getting his groceries? Did he use a VPN? The only assumption I can make is that he just really hates you, and yeah, I can fucking feel that. I also hate me, so to come out on top, we've got to remain quick, brace the inside of our asshole, and to verify our online sources with correct documentation, because this is the hardest boss so far, and the easiest boss for the rest of the game. So whether we're delivering pizza or attempting deicide, Morgott will bring you the Home Depot experience, whether you're ready or not, and the answer is usually not.
Oh man, you can tell Max0r really enjoyed this boss.
That fight was the fucking bomb. It was a hard-fought battle, but now it is time for me to claim my rightful throne. Fuck, I'm going to make God pay for this. All we have to do is go through the, Oh, this probably has an explanation, but something tells me I'm not going to like it. Oh well, time to go. My actual objective is worse than this. Much, much worse than this. So, yeah, that's great. Look, I need help getting into the glow stick tree. Do you have any shears?
Oh, why didn't you say so?
No reason in particular.
Nah, don't worry about him. He's, doing stretches. For the next 5,000 years.
What?
Anyways, you need to, burn the tree.
Excuse me?
You need to go to Giant Mountain and burn someone to death. I want that shit to look like a road flare.
You are scaring me.
The pain is immense, and without limit.
How about I just go kill Satan instead?
You cannot run from me!
Welcome everyone to the Mountain of Agony, both in the lore and in gameplay, but mostly gameplay. Home of the 5th demigod, Satan, literally just Satan, Lucifer, the big D if you will, who has made his home inside of a literal volcano where he intends to commit blasphemy in peace. Just one problem, we gotta climb that shit ourselves, and the main way up is
still in
a little bit linear. I call it the Habsburg family tree because this shit is a circle, one with a higher population of apes than Twitter.com. My favorite part was the horrifying darkness of my Appalachian camping trip. Something is after me, but I don't know what it is. Now don't get me wrong, there's still a lot to discover, but half of it is igneous rock, and what remains is a bit of special. Just gotta take out this enemy over here when suddenly bird jump scare. It feels a bit like every level collaborated to make this one. We've got people, monkeys, spastic robots, and you better believe that the hands are back. We even get to see the handyman himself.
I forgot the hands are also at Mount Gelmir. Ah, I hate the hands. I love their design and how they move. I just don't like fighting them specifically.
He's getting really out of hand this time. You could say that I have my hands full. This is hands down the stupidest joke in the video. So after climbing a little bit, 3 ladders in a row, we gaze over a cliff whereupon Patches just breaks my fucking skeleton. Guess I have to climb all the way back up. The top of the mountain is really fun though, especially when my computer decides to work. It's like Disneyland for Victorian peasants or just Yugoslav war criminals. I think Satan might be up to something. It's just a guess though. So after 3 days of assorted undersea mischief making, we
another fucking tree spirit
finally arrive at the Volcano Manor. But at that size, it's more like a volcano gated community. Little did I know what I was getting into, starting with the red. Like all the flags this is giving me. I feel like I'm inside of a gaming PC. Maybe this woman can give us more info.
Hello, Tarnished, and welcome to the Red Manor.
Feeling creative today, aren't we?
I am the virtual YouTuber of this mansion, Tanith, and this is Gug.
Gug.
Gug is in pain.
Aren't we all?
Anyways, can I interest you in joining the forces of Satan? We offer coupons.
For what exactly?
Mostly funerals, but sometimes Tesco.
Well, you know what? I do want to attack God, and the mood lighting here is sick as fuck. Where do I sign?
Oh, you don't sign, you kill.
What?
We crave innocent blood, traveler, and I expect a sufficient donation. After all, you are what you eat, and I am a child at heart.
I think I chose the wrong voice actor.
Hail Satan!
Well, I guess since I serve Satan now, my outfit needs to get a little edgier, and my weapons need to become a little veggier. Potatoes aren't the only things that these can peel, and as a fresh recruit to the Army of Darkness, I now have access to the office break room. It is surprisingly nice, so long as you avoid the souls of the damned. I do not care who the IRS sends, I am not paying taxes. Also, half my fellow demons have scoliosis, so let's just collect our first target, instead of talking to them. And if I'm going to kill the innocent, I might as well do it with some chill beatings by Dr. Dre to relax and study to.
Oh man. Oh, the 2v2 fight is so fucking cool, man.
I think we might be the bad guys. Just kidding, I don't think. Oh shit, wrong door.
Congratulations, traveler. You have proven yourself my finest sin.
My sins are unforgivable.
You get to meet Satan now.
Oh, what's the occasion?
Dinner.
Can I leave now?
Have fun.
Hi there, Satan. Did you fall from heaven? I don't think he liked that one.
Is Rykard seriously that hard? Like, he doesn't seem that hard. He's like basically a gimmick, a very extremely good gimmick boss, but still, like, it's a gimmick boss, sorta.
Hey guys, Max0r here, and today we're gonna be trapped in, hell. Yeah, so turns out war crimes and orgies are sins. Don't ask. So now that we're in hell, I get to meet all of my favorite heroes, such as Ronald Reagan, and also all the landlords that Mao killed. But to navigate this new landscape of fire and brimstone, we must venture into the many circles of hell, each one complete with their own trials and punishments, but mostly punishments. Now as for me, I was sent to the Circle of Greed for being a YouTuber, and my punishment is continuing to make this video. It is 4 in the morning. Now the first thing you see in this level, and I mean the first thing, is an anchor direction. This tells us that we're in the Circle of Lust, where all the Genshin players reside. I'm a really big fan of Sugma Kokomi. Boy, I sure do love being surrounded by women. Genshin Impact video very soon. Just gotta turn this corner and why is he just standing there? Well, I'm sure he won't be bothering me anytime later. Oh my god, it's him, the Compresse Demon. Now for our next stop in every Denny's ever made.
I never realized that.
God, it's him.
I wonder if they used that same... Surely, I think like straight up this animation is from the Capra Demon rig. Huh, never thought about it. Obviously, Elden Ring reuses a lot of animations, like body skeletons of previous Dark Souls like enemies and bosses, and they reuse them in such a creative fucking way, man. I wish more developers straight up reused assets from their previous games, because this is cool as fuck. And like that fat boy I was talking about before, like that's straight up Asylum Demon, just reskinned to be a sort of a tree guy. And obviously he has new attacks because he casts magic and shit. But man, they went fucking hard with reusing assets in Elden Ring, and it paid off big time. Also, I don't know if you can hear that, but my cat is sneezing in the background, and he has been sneezing like since yesterday. I need to get him to a fucking vet because I don't know what's wrong. But yeah, if you hear sneezing in the background occasionally, that's my cat.
The Compresse Demon. Now for our next stop in every Denny's ever made, we're heading into Hell's Assisted Living Center, which is filled with unbaptized infants and the disabled. It was at this moment that I knew I was not being punished, but that I was the punishment. Also, Jesus Christ, this is darker than Ethiopia. After which, we find ourselves in the circle of gluttony, because the residents are a bit sluggish. I know, very funny stuff. It's time for some fun volcano facts with Max0r. Did you know that lava cannot hurt you as long as you are backstepping? Try to do it in real life. Actually, at this point, the lava is more of a suggestion. Summer enjoyers be like, at least there be no snow. Oh boy, I sure do love taking a walk in the great state of Arizona. So after we're finished navigating the, kinky neighborhood, we head into the next circle of hell, the heresy, which is accessed when I pull a bridge out of the room temperature lava. This is where God puts all the papists after being dragged into the storm drain. Their Sisyphean punishment is that they have to get laid on Gmail. Delete every other website. You have to fuck and suck on Gmail. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll be attending mass to steal the wine. Hey guys, welcome back to my 600-pound death, and on today's episode, we're going to be fighting the skinniest Reddit mod. This is not what I meant when I said I wanted jiggle physics. I think this boss may have had a few too many, communion wafers. How many of those do you have to eat before it's considered one entire Jesus? This is your body, broken for me. Now, unlike the other foreskin brother, the absolute girth of this man might make you think we're in for a slower fight, but you are wrong. That would make the game easier. He is even faster than that, and that just makes me go from depressed to impressed. And just like last time, his second phase is absolute body horror. Genuinely just the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. Please consult your doctor before engaging in any Nikocado maxing. I think I'm gonna be here for a few more minutes. Finally, the bloated design. Body positivity. No, I have body negativity. Also, holy shit, this music goes hard. This is an absolutely inappropriate boss theme for the inside of a Walmart. I think it's about time that we shave off some of that excess skin. Come on, do it. Give me your skin. If you aren't comfortable in your own flesh, you should pull it off. So now that I've officially shot Biggie Biggs, we can finally grab the, and continue on our route towards the average Californian summer. Me being sent to hell, they forgot to take my Bluetooth speaker away. That's right, we're finally here, the heart of the beast, home of deceitful serpents and their evil minions. You know, Washington. Also,
Man, he was fucking cooking with those puns in this episode. Holy.
But honestly, it's a bit, easy to get lost in here. Personally, though, I don't think there's much here that we haven't already talked about, besides the Egged one, just your standard committee of child skinners. So, we're just gonna teleport. straight to the boss, which is the actual way you do it because of the reasons why. All right, Satan, I've served you for too long. Now prepare to feel my... Oh, wait a second. Welcome everyone to Doom Internalizing My Abuse, and today we're going to be fighting the, we're going to Google how to kill him, because as it turns out, the reptile exhibit is in need of some heavy ordnance, of which I am an expert. The Serpent Hunter is, and I quote, on some anime shit, a weapon of mass destruction specifically built to kill just snakes, you know, like a secretary bird. It's also,
No, it's not even built to kill snakes. It's specifically built to kill that one particular snake. Because people were like, you know that immortal serpent that lives under the mountain? Yo, fuck that dude. I don't want him to be immortal. So I'm gonna craft something that will literally kill the immortal fucking serpent.
Feet from the entrance. That's like giving chocolate out in a dog pound. God may give me his toughest battles, but so too do we get his largest gun. We just went from Storm Ruler to Storm Meter Stick. This fight is the coolest shit I've ever seen. It is so satisfying to use this weapon, and the damage is absolutely biblical. My favorite part was when Cain beat his brother to death with a rock. The only drawback is that you are too strong, and dodging him is a little easy because the snake will signal every attack by pogging. But if I had to choose a boss to be easy, this one is pretty fucking up there. And trust me, I know about fucking up. Just ask the war crime trials. I have something to admit, guys. I didn't really kill anyone in the war. I only kill people like you, tomorrow. But as for this boss, his difficulty does not get in the way of the fun, of which there is plenty. I think the best attack is the one where he slimes me at the Kids' Choice Awards. Plus, I am always down for animal abuse, especially after the animal abuses me. So with that out of the way, I think it's about time that we graduate this noodle from endangered to extinct. Oh Jesus, aren't you dramatic?
Demigod of Mount Gelmir, number 15, Praetor Rykard. It appears that you are trying to cut off my pet snake, so in return, I will now cut off yours. The last thing you want on your journey to hell is to join the Serpent King as family, but as it turns out, that might be what you get.
Oh my fucking god, it's finally him, it's Satan, I'm your biggest fan. Welcome everyone to the second phase of life, also known as death, and today we're going to be fighting the human centipede along with everyone he's ever consumed. That's right, this entire time we were participating in the world's most complicated buffet, not to mention I'm carrying the souls of 4 entire demigods, so I just delivered Rykard his fucking pizza. But if you want to get eating, first you have to get eaten. Buy an immortal snake and live on him like a tumor. That's called making a deal. Now as for the gameplay, it's a little intense, you know, kind of spooky, kind of makes me cry, because this boss, on top of his normal moveset, can use every snake attack, just like Metal Gear Solid. But that isn't even the dangerous part. That happens when he unleashes the 50 goddamn explosive skulls at the loudest possible volume and then dips my screen into a vat of hot oil. I guess hell was just built on a missile system. I could not tell you what's happening on the screen right now. The best way I can describe this fight is that it gives brain damage, just like playing Valorant, but in a good way, unlike playing Valorant. Even still, this battle is not about that. It is all about the spectacle, the weaponry, and of course the violence. It is a gimmick fight done absolutely correct, even if it hurts my eyes a bit. But if this fight gets one thing right, it is definitely style. And while this battle may be long, you know, like a cat, goddamn does it deliver.
Again, you can tell Max0r really enjoyed this fight. And again, that's fair because this fight is fucking amazing.
You are a match made in hell.
Again, much like most bosses, like most bosses in Elden Ring, fucking phenomenal.
Might have killed Satan.
You fucking what?
Yeah, so where did she go?
Gone.
Oh, she's eating what?
So it's only just the last part left, right? Damn, that's a lot of... No, that's actually... That would be about right. So the next part is gonna be about the fire giant. Obviously, Malenia. I'm assuming he's gonna go back for... You know what? That's actually a lot of things condensed into one video. So I'm assuming there's going to be fire giant, Malenia, Moog, like the fuck all of the last bosses. So Hora Lux, the kitty cat who I forgot the name. The all-knowing nerd, the last boss. Holy fuck, that's a lot of bosses he intends to cover in the last... And I saw he was fighting the Dragon Lord in the intro, so that's probably like 8 bosses in one video. Holy fuck. I need to add that to... Oh, sorry, is that that's the first video, right?
What? You must continue.
Is this the second one? Yeah, I was scrolling through this in one of the previous streams, I believe. So yeah, that's gonna be like on one of the later streams, I guess. God damn. Let me actually...
What? You must
go.
Do not play this video in
Audible.
That's 2 videos done with. I wish games would bring back allowing you to use gimmicks everywhere on the New Game Plus. Huh? Which game did that? Or are you not talking about FromSoft specifically? Because I am not aware of like of that happening in Dark Souls 1. Maybe Demon Souls, I never played New Game Plus of Demon Souls. Dark Souls 2, but to be fair, I wish they would go back to the way they approached New Game Plus content in things like Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 had an amazing fucking New Game Plus with a lot of new things and like exclusive content. Just games in general, nobody does it anymore. Yeah, I can sorta understand what you mean. Usually now New Game Plus is just a very stale do it again, but you have all of the upgrades and enemies are like somewhat scaled up. So I definitely know what you mean. Like New Game Pluses are not like they used to be. Okay, I will go to the bathroom and we'll watch Bricky's review of Killing Floor 2. The tales of games let you carry ridiculous things back to the start of the game, and plenty of games used to let you start over with special endgame and zone-specific weapons unlocked immediately. Okay, I personally, I don't think I ever played a game like that, personally. Because I don't know what the Tale of Games is. But yeah, I do remember like certain games back in the day really like experimenting with their New Game Plus to like really make it a different kind of experience. And like I said, like I think fucking Dark Souls 2 with its exclusive New Game Plus content knocked it out of the fucking park. some of it was a little bit too much because you had to get to New Game Plus Plus to get certain boss souls. But I think overall they had the right idea, especially since you had the like bonfire aesthetics to make certain zones New Game Plus. I'm missing out. They're great. Are they like? I'm assuming they are RPGs, right? I seriously don't know what those are. I might look them up. I might look them up in like my off stream and see what they are all about. Anyway, be right back. I'm back. I will wait a second for people to realize that the stream is back, and then we'll move on. There's sort of RPGs when you encounter enemies, you enter a real-time arena where you play it more like a fighting game with your party versus enemies. It's hard to describe if you've never seen it. I think I'm familiar with the concept. I never played it, but I seen gameplay of Star Ocean, which literally had a gameplay like this, I believe, where every time you encountered an enemy, you entered like essentially like a real-time fight where you just swung your weapon around. And so like I saw the gameplay of that, but I don't even know if that's exactly like that. There's a bunch of those, because I'm assuming it's a... Yes, it plays very similarly to Star Ocean. Okay, so I have sort of an idea. Yeah, when it comes to that, I missed out on a bunch of JRPGs. Like I said, Star Ocean supposedly a classic. I never played it. I know that like a remake of Star Ocean released, and it's supposedly a really fucking good remake. So I definitely want to check it out. But even like the most mainstream JRPGs you can imagine, like Final Fantasy, I completely missed out on. So that's why I never played those Tales games, Star Ocean, most Final Fantasies. Star Ocean 2 was crazy with its party relationship mechanics. I heard, because that remake is, I think, of Star Ocean 2 and not 1. I'm not sure. But I listened to a podcast where I listened to a podcast where games are discussed, and Star Ocean Second Story R, which is the remake, came up. And the explanation of all of the mechanics were fucking insanity. Like, what you can do in that game sounded like just batshit insane. So I definitely like so I can definitely believe that. Anyway, coming back to something more that my, lizard westerner brain can understand better. We have Killing Floor 2, which is a game that I heard had a very mixed response from people who liked Killing Floor 1. I played a bunch of Killing Floor 1 when I was younger, mostly because the base game went for so cheaply, and me and my friends were constantly looking for games to play together. And I finally bought Killing Floor 2. I bought Killing Floor 2. I intend to play through it or try it or do whatever just to see what the game is like. So that's why I was interested in seeing like a Bricky review of it before I jump in myself. I actually got a sad ending in the first Star Ocean for many party members because the people I recruited didn't mesh well together. That's crazy that you have to like think about which party members go together to get a good ending. But also kind of like nice for people who like replaying games. There's always like content in those crazy ass complicated JRPGs. There's so much content to dig into, even if you beat and like the game once or twice. So let's get into the video, shall we?
Audible, a fantastic, the number one, honestly, place to listen to incredibly well-made and narrated audiobooks for you. And I can listen to all of those fantastic stories via Audible, long car rides, gym, editing, making Warhammer figures. Doesn't really matter. Audible is there and it is easy, affordable, and convenient. Of course, we had to ask for a Bricky's mom Audible recommendation. And once again, for the millionth time, she tells me, why haven't you listened to Project Hail Mary yet? It's like the best thing she's listened to in the last 5 years. And then my buddy Demeki is like, hey, Bricky, why haven't you listened to Project Hail Mary yet? So I guess we're gonna listen to Project Hail Mary. But if you want the things that I am very versed in, well, we know my hammers. There's war in them. They possibly have a 40K. And we are currently hopping into the Eisenhorn books, the famed Inquisitor Eisenhorn. The first one, Xenos, which is just rave reviews. As far as 40K books go, Eisenhorn has always been said to be one of the best when it comes to new people, introductions, story writing, mystery, and so forth. So if you want to save yourself some time and listen to fantastic audiobooks, go to audible.com/Bricky or text Bricky to the number 500-500 to get started in listening to audiobooks today. Thank you very much for sponsoring this video, Audible.
Man, I just want to say audiobooks are not a medium I got into like ever. It's always like, I would prefer to just read it myself, or if I need to, or if I want to hear somebody talking about a book, then I would rather them like provide me with a summary with possibly some like visual reference. I don't know. I never like vibed with audiobooks for one reason or another.
And let's talk about floors. 2 of them. You want to know how upsetting
Eisenhorn is a fantastic introduction and a great series. Yeah, Bricky stated like multiple times that those books are really good. I think it was in his video about like top 5 Warhammer media or something, like games and media or something like that. He had a brief mention of the books he recommends, and Eisenhorn was there. I'm not sure if okay, here's the thing. I'm not sure I will ever get so far into Warhammer 40k to get to read books. But I will, first of all, like I will go through the games. And then if I'm still like, I want to know more about the setting and those games didn't feel like they provided, then I will dive into books, I think. Audiobooks are always available and cheap. Those are the only reasons I might get one. I also prefer a physical copy with one exception. when the story is a whole production. I have listened to exactly one audiobook that hired different voice actors for every character. It had sound effects to get you immersed in the background noise and even inaudible background tracks. That is very important. The availability of audiobooks is something that is very well worth mentioning, that like some translations, just buying it sometimes and price, obviously, those things indeed make some audiobooks very appealing compared to normal books. But just having a physical copy to read, like you kind of mentioned, that feels the best. Like, you know, being able to smell the newness of the paper, the freshness of it, and just being able to go at your own pace. Those are nice. Those are nice. But yeah, sometimes an audiobook is just a whole cheaper and whole more accessible, rather than that, and you know, that's a little bit sad.
It is to have written the entire script, filmed all the footage, recorded the entire video, uploaded it all to the computer, and then open up YouTube to see a Killing Floor 3 trailer. The pure coincidental humor that provided me was equal parts infuriating.
Killing Floor 3 was fucking announced? What? I had no idea.
And exciting. Like, I was done with everything I needed to do on Killing Floor before I even knew of the trailer's existence. So, lucky me, I suppose. There's been a reinvigorated interest in Killing Floor, and parallel to that, Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 2. Where to start? I'm going to assume you've watched the Killing Floor 1 video prior to this one. If you haven't, well, Killing Floor 2 came out in 2015 as early access and completed its release in November of 2016. The game—
Oh man, it released that far back? Holy fuck, I'm old. God damn. I remember it like it was fucking yesterday, man. People posting like first impressions and stuff from the early access. Holy hell.
Game's development was something I remember looking into quite closely. The first Killing Floor was a blast, and giving it more modern spin with a more modern budget was one of those dreams that only come true a handful of times. You know, the game promised new enemies, faster gameplay, better animations, more maps, characters, all that other stuff that a true sequel likes to come with. Did it deliver on these things? Yeah. But it's a little complicated. See, Killing Floor 2 as a sequel is great in a lot of ways, better than the original in a lot of ways. But with that came a monkey's paw that curled a few times in the making of this game and after it. Now, you can look at this original and say to yourself, yeah, you know, it's a bit old, but goodness me, I sure do love it. But when you look at Killing Floor 2, it goes more like, it's a great game, just a few things you need to be informed about first. But let's start with the good first. Following the success of the original, the team had increased substantially to around 50 people in 2014. The sequel had a much higher budget, and this meant way more improvements to the fun parts of Killing Floor, aka bullets, blades, and blood.
My browser crashed. I had no idea Killing Floor 3 was coming out, playing the video on double speed to catch up. Yeah, like I said, I feel like when Killing Floor 2 was announced and it was in beta and it was coming out, it was a big deal. Like, a lot of people not familiar with that game heard about it, at least back then. But now Killing Floor 3 has been announced, and Like, I haven't even heard anybody fucking mention it other than Bricky. That's crazy. I wanna look at the trailer or see what, like, where the game is in development right now after this video, and see sorta what's the response from the people around the game.
Was their main design philosophy. And for starters, Killing Floor 2 looks great. The visual design and colors of the game are way more realized in a great way. The art direction of the title was fleshed out a lot more, going for a more higher tech UI. You know, the individual parts of the heads-up display are rounded and look a lot more digital. You know, they really enjoy their symbol usage too, and it flows well. The old Killing Floor was a bit more grim, a bit more grimy. This new one almost feels like you're a high-tech mercenary there to kill all the Zeds you find, and with that fun, like, black, red, and white color combination. Blood has actually been overhauled, as the bloodstains left from killing Zeds will stay on the map indefinitely, and during Zed time, the game will go only black, white, and red. Plus, after that, you have the new Trader Pod, which has a much more sci-fi feel to it. And for the most part, the game's general art direction for the sequel, it's a lot more realized. You might prefer the grungier style of the first game, but I'd be surprised if you told me it wasn't a worked with what we had kind of.
I mean, like, yeah. Killing Floor 1 was very washed out to me, and I didn't enjoy its look. The best parts of Killing Floor 1 were the maps that actually had more color. Like, there were some maps from Portal, for example, where you were in like those Portal testing rooms. Those were my favorite maps because they had more just color and liveliness to them. So
Situation. We're talking new budget, new people, new vision. It's definitely there.
The grungy style of Killing Floor 1 reminded me of Half-Life 2 mods. I do believe Killing Floor 1 was some kind of, like, I don't want to be quoted on that, but I always got the feeling that it's literally a Source engine mod, like one of those, you know, other things that came out in that era. Zombie Master is probably not a name anybody is familiar with other than me. Day of Defeat is one of those, like, those types of games that basically started out as mods and ended up as independent games. Like, I always got that feeling from Killing Floor 1. Again, I don't know if that's true, but yeah, that style, that feeling is definitely there, and it came with a lot of junk. To be sure, like, some of that game was. I love Killing Floor 1, but it was junky as fuck.
It also bleeds into how the enemies have been upgraded, both in their looks and how they die. There are a few new enemies in Killing Floor 2 and a few old enemies getting a bit of a facelift. The original Clot enemy is still around, for example, but there are other variants of them in each game. So in reality, there are actually 4 main versions of the standard Clot: the Alpha Clot, the Cyst, the Slasher, and the Rioter. But in general, it's easier to classify each Zed by its tier than by the individual differences. And by tier, I mean general size and strength. Like, lesser Zeds would be a tier, and it'd be the ones I just mentioned, as well as the Invisible Stalker, the Jumpy Crawler, and the Stabby Gorefast. There are also elite variants of them that come with higher difficulties. The Rioter, the Elite Crawler, and the Gore Fiends. Basically being armored clots, exploding crawlers, and high damage, high health Gorefasts. They also do this thing where, like, they hold up their blades to kind of, like, block their face so they don't get shot, you know? It's kind of neat. The medium Zeds consist of the Bloat, the Siren, and the Husk from the previous game. There is a 4th edition, however, the EDAR, Elite Defense and Assault Robot. It's a weapons program gone horribly wrong, as they always tend to go, and are now equipped with all kinds of missiles, lasers, and other really annoying attacks. And finally, you've got the large Zeds, and these are mostly unchanged. The Scrake is still around, except he's been just really eating his protein. The Flesh Pound is still here to make your anus look like Hamburger Helper.
I mean, Flesh Pound is like one of the iconic enemies of Killing Floor.
Holy shit! And he also has a smaller, more spammable variant called the Quarter Pound, which is also known as a Royale Zed in Paris. Oh, Quarter Pounder with cheese! So you do have some new enemies to play around with in general, but almost more importantly, you have far more tools to deal with them as well. The game has a substantial increase in weaponry for every class, including a few new classes along the way. And it would take a significant amount of time to go through every single weapon that was added in this game, as well as all the DLC weapons that were added in the post-launch of the game. Newer rifles, new SMGs, new melee weapons, new explosives, new fire things, new everything. Each class has a plethora of new tools, and those new tools can actually be upgraded now too at the Trader Pod, which increases their stats and carrying weight by a block. It's pretty good for a late game build once you got everything finalized. And I do need to make it clear though that some of these weapons completely jumped the shark. One of the newer classes that was added is called the Survivalist, kind of a combination of all the other classes mixed into one, but it in particular has some just insane weapons, like a locust firing grenade launcher that fires, shocker, locusts. Then one of the most insane guns I've ever seen, the Killer Watt, a gigantic combination of machine gun and laser gun mixed into two that annihilates basically anything you pointed at. All right, I'm expecting greatness from this weapon, Jellicle.
A few moments later.
Damn.
Holy shit. See, it always starts simple. It's the varmint rifle, from the Commando into a Scar H, into the minigun, into the HM Tech 501 grenade launcher. The support has a nice shotgun, then a combat shotgun, then an AA-12, then the Doom Stick, then the HRG Blast Brawlers. It jumps the shark multiple times in a row, and you know, you pull you out of.
Okay, but that's cool as fuck though. That's cool as fuck. Killer Watts something like Killer Watts like something out of the Painkiller series. That is exactly that is a perfect way to describe it. It's cool as fuck though. Don't know if the problem's in the balance but I don't mind like them pulling concepts out of their ass basically. But that did seem like it sort of melted enemies too easily, but I'm not sure if that is an issue with those weapons. I haven't played the game, so.
The game a little bit? Like, even if the guns are fun to use, there's a bit of that more traditional firearm style that I hope it kept. The guns have actually been given some of the most attention to detail. They're actually rendered in a higher frame rate, so they fire better in Z time, but also a lot of the animations, the reloads and stuff, were actually done by, I believe they hired actual soldiers to do it. And when you get perks that have you reload faster, it's not just a sped up version, it is a completely different animation for the reload. So in the early rounds, in the mid round.
Oh my god, that's insane attention to detail. Holy shit, that's cool.
Like having these kinds of firearms and sticking to it is great because a lot of effort's been put into these. But then you have the Cock Guzzler 45 HSP for $2,000, and it's a little iffy to me. It's Heckler and Cock. Though, unlike my current sexual preferences, the new class system is very solid and isn't confusing in the slightest. See, instead of a massive tree of percentage upgrades, the new class system allows for a more customizable approach while maintaining some of their prior power. Let's take the Berserker, for instance, you know, big melee boy. In Killing Floor 1, there was just this laundry list of benefits and upgrades that you got, and you can just get even more ludicrous with time. This time, The benefits are simpler. For Berserker, it's 1% increased damage with perk weapons per level. Also, there is a 3% damage resistance for every 5 levels, as levels now go up to 25 instead of 5 or 6, though they're much easier to level. Each perk now has a special skill you can unlock per each 5 levels.
Rule of cool, if it's neat, keep it in the game. Yeah, I just looked it up. Killing Floor was originally a total conversion mod for the game Unreal Tournament 2004. Ah! Yeah, exactly my reaction. It makes sense, but it's not what I expected. But it's sorta in that ballpark. You know, like everybody who plays Killing Floor, you get that feeling that it's a not standalone game, it's a mod for something. And usually when you have that feeling, my default is Source, because Source games have so many total conversion mods, man. Holy fuck, there are, like, some of those obviously became official games. But yeah, there are other engines and there are other games that have a lot of total conversion mods, so yeah, that makes sense.
Fact, you choose which of the two you want to be active at all times in the game. So for level 5 Berserker, you can either double your health or move faster, sprint faster, and regenerate your health. At level 10, you can either heal for each Zed killed and attack faster, or attack faster and do 20% more damage. This normally culminates to a special Zed time specific bonus at level 25. In this case, it's either a 50% HP regen every time it activates or refreshes and immobilizing all nearby Zeds, or you move in completely real time during Zed time while everyone else is going slow. So the amount of insanity is really not lost on Killing Floor 2, but it's a lot more fun insanity, customizable insanity. It's actually created in a neat way. Each level has a theme going for it across the classes. Level 5 is movement, 10 is basic technique, 15 is skill, 20 is equipment, and 25 is master technique, aka the Zed stuff. So while the Berserker has a movement option at level 5, the Sharpshooter has increased damage while stationary or shooting and
it's like mods for Total War. You can tell a lot of time and effort went into them, yet they don't feel quite right for some reason. Ironically, the closest mods I have seen that skipped seamlessly into a game were Sims 4 mods made by the guy who created Sims 4 Ultra Violence. That mod series is crazy. Huh. I think I saw some like Sims 3 mods where you can like execute Sims and whatever. But goddamn, didn't expect Sims 4 to have like such quality mods. Jesus Christ, like when it comes to mods that feel like completely new content, I always default to oh my god, that one YouTuber who makes stupid fucking mods for games like Halo, but like it has all of those goofy weapons like Minecraft swords and bows and stuff like that. Or like he modded, he completely like revamped Dark Souls 1 to include multiplayer with a bunch of fucking Halo weapons. I can't remember like off the top of my head what's the name of his channel? The guy who made Ultra Violence Went Nuts on Sims 4, he also made a superheroes versus supervillains and a zombie apocalypse mod. He also created in-game trailers for every mod. I'm gonna look that up after this video because I'm very curious to see like some gameplay of that. That
movement
sounds
speed
fun.
bonuses when using perk weapons. At level 20, the equipment one, the sharpshooter has the option to carry more ammo or increase headshot damage with weapon iron sights, while the berserker ups their melee attack damage and knockback power. It's all intertwined in its own way, a theme that goes across the board, a Z time bonus at the end, and still small percentage increases along the way. A personal favorite of mine is the new SWAT perk, SWAT, you know, my beloved, which is all about being a one-man army. Chunkier armor, higher magazine size, better Z stunning power, and all kinds of other bonuses. Now, while I was a little more lukewarm on the new guns, I think this new perk system is absolutely awesome. There is more player customization, there is more player choice, and the differences are much more game impacting instead of enormous damage bonus number 48, which does tie into the game itself and how it's played. Now, there are a few more options that come with Killing Floor 2 in its game modes. You do have the same difficulties and the same Hell on Earth. You do have the various game lengths, and you still have the fun custom games too, including weekly game mode refreshes. But a personal favorite of mine was actually the new Endless mode. You know, as a COD Zombies fanatic, having an endless mode is always a pleasure, especially because you gain XP for the class you're using. So having there be a reason to go as long as you can and still earn points is awesome. And the endless mode, surprisingly, doesn't end. And mixes it up with all kinds of different modifiers and objectives throughout. Now, you might need to go capture a point, or all the enemies will have giant heads, or they float up into the ceiling, or maybe they spam a certain enemy at you. Now, another addition to the endless mode is actually giving you a boss round every 5 rounds. And look, it's our tasteless white boy again with the segue. Killing Floor 1 had one boss, the Patriarch. Killing Floor 2 launched with one boss also. Von Hans Schnitzel dies something or another, but then added in a bunch of new bosses with updates to the game. 5 in total. Dr. Hans Volter is a interesting, more lithe enemy that throws grenades, shoots you in the face, and gives you the big suck. I will say, Hans dual wields assault rifles. I think they're like STG 44s or whatever from Germany back in World War II, which is just kind of funny. And if you're unprepared for them, they will rip into you. When he hits a certain threshold also, he'll deploy a shield and then like rip into you a bit more personally. I actually like Hans a lot. He has a good damage and a good bit of urgency when you fight him. But on the other side of the spectrum, there's the Abomination, a gigantic fat joke rolled into one with him literally farting all over the map and hitting you with his gas. Also, his little wacky flailing arm dudes running at you with extreme speeds and their very bizarre sound effects. So the Abomination, though, despite his thickness, is really fucking fast. He just bulldozes you down, and while it makes him a simple fight, it also makes him an annoying fight that the game just loves to throw at me. All right, please anything but the Abomination again, or I'm gonna shit myself. There's the King Flesh Pound, which is not a boss I have fought a ton. It's basically just a souped up flesh pound, better in rage, some spin moves, a shield, a gigantic laser out of his chest. The Patriarch did come back as well. He's actually just about the same as before. He just looks different. Big minigun, rockets, cloaking, healing, the whole 9 yards. He just looks different. But he also brought over his new main squeeze, the Matriarch, who is a boss that was created by the worst people who have ever lived. She is a gigantic mech suit with 2 destroyable parts and a face guard. There is a huge cannon on one of her arms and a claw on the other. And what makes her so annoying is the just staggering amount of range damage she does to you, and destroying her cannon arm will actually have her enraged and barrel down at you even faster. If her attacks, damage, and speed weren't bad enough though, her main helping force are the EDAR robots, who also fire guns, missiles, and grappling lasers at you. She is awful, and
damn, those fucking robots have some mobility. Holy fuck.
Fire guns, missiles, and
they're literally dodging the shots. That's crazy.
Grappling lasers at you. She is awful, and I hope she steps on Legos. Though endless mode with all of these bosses, cycling through them, especially on the higher difficulties, because Suicidal and Hell on Earth are actually more souped up than before. There are different enemy movement patterns, different enemy attacks and defenses. It's not just more numbers. There are effects. All that stuff is great and a ton of fun. A great breath into the higher difficulties for Killing Floor. Oh, and also Killing Floor, you know, the maps. We got to talk about that. The new maps. They're good. They're pretty damn good. I like their look. They play with the lighting really well. I think that the enemy spawning is mostly solid, even though there can be a little bit of like a spawn from everywhere situation. A map on a giant airship, one on an oil.
That's classic for games like where you survive waves of enemies. So.
The variety is all there. There are some that I do miss from the first game, specifically West London and the Biolab, but even so, I have very little negative things to say on the maps. And I bet you think I forgot. You thought I wasn't going to talk about the music. How could you ever come into a Killing Floor 2 video and not expect me to talk about the soundtrack? How could you have such little faith in me? Such low faith in me? Your boy! Play the soundtrack.
Those are some nice sounds.
Lastly, the game had some pretty great Christmas events. It almost felt like a modder made them, and I mean that in a good way. Like the events were a little jank, but in that fun, hey guys, wouldn't it be super cool if we did this for Christmas? Like that kind of jank way. Zed outfits, redone maps, that whole thing. Oh yeah, I forgot. Modders are still hard at work. The most downloaded map for Killing Floor 2 is the Bikini Atoll map, which is just this giant fan-fucking-tastic rendition of Bikini Bottom. It's unironically my favorite map in the game. Genuinely, this modder outdid themselves. It's so good. Oi, SpongeBob, me boy. The Zeds have taken over my business and I'm overdosing on ketamine. Now, if you've noticed, so far in this video, I've been just positive. I have only made a couple negative comments here and there, wacky weapons, annoying bosses, that's about it. Because when it comes to the game and playing the game itself, all of it is stellar. And I genuinely believe to be a massive upgrade from the original game.
What the fuck?
Stellar. And
what the fuck is that gun? It's a block, man. He's holding like an entire fucking block.
Believe to be a
what is that?
Massive upgrade from the original game. And that's what happens when you have a bigger budget and a larger team.
Oh my god, that's a giant ass fucking handgun. Jesus Christ.
That is hyper dedicated to their craft. So why did I
Is that two Colts welded together?
Your team that is hyper dedicated.
That looks like two Colts welded together. What the fuck?
To their craft. So why did I sound so flaky when I first mentioned the game at the beginning of the video? SpongeBob.
Demonetization. That's what I heard, that it's pretty bad.
Boy, me Bob, I'm charging way too much money for Killing Floor expansion packs. 3 of the tabs are all based on microtransactions. Fuck you, Plankton. Yeah, there's so many of them. Everything outside the gameplay of the game. Everything outside the gameplay. It is confusing, overwhelming, and a bit shite. Like, Killing Floor 1 was no stranger to microtransactions, right?
Oh,
it had its fair share of new guns and things, but Killing Floor 2 is loaded with them, and the prices are quite high. This is also a game that came out in 2016 at the height of the loot box trend. Call of Duty, the year, I know what it is, 2016, Infinite Warfare, Game MandaloreGaming also had loot boxes. See, it's not just loot boxes in Killing Floor 2 though. There's also crates that you earn and can only be opened with real money keys, much like in CSGO or TF2. And what really adds to it is the level of confusion I experience when going through these menus. There's the vault, which is you earning money in-game to get new crates, and these are technically crates that don't cost anything or need keys, but then there are crates that do cost things and need keys. And if you don't want to buy keys, you can dismantle them for a currency that allows you to craft new items, but this currency isn't across the board. There is cosmetic character currency and weapon currency, but it's not just a regular currency. There are 4 types of currency for each, all
Oh my fucking god. 4 currencies. 4 different currencies. Ain't no way.
different rarities. So there are in fact 8.
Oh, there's fucking 8 of them. No! What are you doing? Vermintide 2 is the only game that did loot boxes right. Everyone else just used them for disgusting cash grabs. Overwatch 1 actually had amazing fucking loot box system. Like Overwatch 1 was so generous to you, man. I would agree League of Legends also has a pretty nice loot boxes. You know, you just by playing you occasionally get free skins, and it's always just skins. This though, oh no, man, oh no, oh no, 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 oh no, 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 oh no, no, no. This is just fucking bad.
Different specific currencies you need to craft a cosmetic or weapon skin that you don't even know what you're getting. Not to mention, you need 10 to craft one random thing, and I only got 1 regular uncommon currency per crate I dismantled. Then there are the actual skins in the game and their price points, and some just feel so overblown. And then some feel quite the opposite. Like
Overwatch was close, but at least you didn't need to buy anything. You could technically get everything by playing. This, on the other hand, is bad. Yeah, I think Overwatch 1 was pretty good. And yeah, you got a bunch of... in Overwatch 1, you got a bunch of... Let's get this one out of the way. Overwatch 1 had 1 currency. And you got it by opening crates, and you could get any skin you want with that currency, and that was fucking cool. Not to mention you only bought skins in that game.
There's no rhyme or reason to it at all. There are weapons that are purchasable in the game. Actual weapons, which can be considered pay to win a bit. You know, it's a co-op shooter, a bit of a gray area there. But even so, these weapons can be bought and often come with a ton of skins too. For example, there is the G36C rifle and Blood Sickle weapons that both come with 5 different skins for
$15 for 2 weapons. Holy fuck. I don't care about the weapon skins. This is not CSGO, they're worthless. Holy fuck, $15 for
those
2 weapons.
2 weapons
oh
for
my
$15.
God.
2 weapons for specific classes, because they both have 5 skins each, but you can only use a skin on a weapon 1 at a time, you know? What if I only like one of those 5 skins? I gotta buy the whole...
Like... Those two at the bottom look basic as fuck, so it's like 3 different colors of this gun. Man, those 4... This and this is literally almost the same, and this is almost the same. And this looks like the basic skin. What the fuck is wrong with those skins?
Whole thing? Then there's like the Reducto Ray weapon, which is the gun and 5 skins. $10 for a 1 gun. $10 for 1 gun.
ain't no way.
For the gun for $10. Then
For a specific class too.
there are
What
character
the
cosmetics,
fuck?
which is a whole new outfit and multiple skin colors, often 6 of them for $5, which isn't awful, but your character outfits are for characters in a first-person shooter where you don't see your character? Then good God, there are massive crate packs for $30 with the crates and the keys that go with them. Emotes that are, at best, really mid and also don't seem to have a feature to let you preview what they are on the purchase screen. There are headshot special effects bundles like Grunt birthday party style things. Then there is an entire market for the game too, a full-on market system like CSGO, like TF2 that allows you to buy and bid on various other cosmetics that you cannot purchase outright for the game. It's like someone looked up the word microtransaction, chewed it up, swallowed it, and vomited it back up into a video game. It is astounding how confusing, overly complicated, and ridiculous everything about this is, from the prices to the things you buy. This all coming from a $30 game. I said Killing Floor 1 was a bit pricey at $20. 2 at $30 isn't that bad actually, but it feels so much worse with all this shit crammed in it. And then you get to the optimization of the game. I have a ridiculously strong computer. A lot of streamers run 2 PCs, one to play the game and the other to stream it. Now, I'm not very good when it comes to software and troubleshooting, and I'm the kind of guy who tries the same fix over and over 5 times, wondering why it isn't working, and then I just start crying. So to remedy that, I just have one big beast PC to do it all. Play, record, stream, sometimes record with 2 applications at the same time, depending on the content I need to make. I get stutters and frame lag for this game when I play for fun, without recording it, without streaming it, on this 2016 game. Not often, mind you. From the footage you see in the background, it probably looks pretty smooth, but even I still get some things. But as I so often need to say, works on my machine is not a real argument. For so many others outside of me, this game has constant amount of crashes, stutters, lag, and everything in between. For a lot of people, once Windows 11 came out, the game couldn't even run. It genuinely would load up and hard crash every single time. If you
Hi, Stars.
look at the Steam reviews, there's a lot of positives going on. You know, the game is very positive. Like, a lot of good that I've already mentioned, all the gameplay stuff. But the longer you scroll down, the more you'll find people having technical issues, lamenting the addition of weapons behind a paywall. And then there's the whole CEO thing, which I really don't want to get into. It's why my review is great game, but as opposed to the first title. The first title is old, it has some charm, a few issues, but for the most part, it's a lovely time. This game plays better, feels better, looks better, sounds better, and I'd honestly say is better than the original in every way that is gameplay. But it has the stinking odor around it that is this confusing, egregious microtransaction and horrible optimization problem that just seems to be random. You might have 0 problems, you might not even be able to launch it. And I want to touch on the microtransaction thing a little bit. This might be a little controversial, but it's just something that I've seen in my experience after talking to some people. A $60 game, you know, one and done, is only feasible for a couple of studios. Ones that are extremely large and sell tons of copies. Jedi Survivor, a $60 game, crap, a $70 game, my apologies, I forgot we're there now. God of War, Elden Ring, these kinds of games can do that because they're huge studios with tons of backing behind them, and more specifically, they sell enormous volumes of copies. Smaller studios of only maybe 3 to 5 people, 3 to 10 people, can also get away with that at a quick, low-cost release. BattleBit Remastered for $15 done by 3 people, Hollow Knight for $15 done by 3 people. But unless you're Super Giant Games, for example, you know, the middle of the pack AA studio, there's a good chance you're going to need some kind of recurring income. Deep Rock Galactic is a good example. It's not too expensive, and none of the new content costs anything, but there are tons of opportunities to spend money that keeps the studio going. Killing Floor and, in extension, Tripwire are completely in their right to put microtransactions in their game. That's the controversial part, is I don't actually think microtransactions are innately a bad thing.
Of course they're not. Payday 2 is a great example of that.
Happy when they're
Payday 2 has a bunch of Payday 2 has been going for more than 10 years now. And they done that by releasing some new missions for the game for free, and then some others paid, right? They released some new characters for free, some others paid. They released some new skill trees for free, and some of them paid. Nobody, there is a lot of DLC in that game by now, because it has been going for more than 10 years now. And the developers acknowledged that they packed all of like 8 years, 7 or 8 years of DLC, they packed into one legacy pack, and it's cheap as fuck. You get all of the DLCs up to a certain year. And then they started packing other DLCs also into like packs that are very good value for me personally. And I like buying those DLCs because I like supporting those that I liked supporting that development, right? But there is a certain point at which you go, that is too fucking scammy, man. Vermintide 2 is similar. There are cosmetics you can only buy with microtransactions, and others you can only get within in-game currency you cannot buy with money. I don't think anyone is arguing how transactions are bad. The problem is how they are presented and enforced. Yeah, this means you play the game to get the stuff and keep coming back weekly, which lets you see the ads for paid cosmetics. Like, I'm assuming Bricky is gonna get to the same point I am kinda making with that Payday. Nobody is arguing. Like, some games just need microtransactions, but there is microtransactions, and then there is being a scumfuck company that is trying to like get every single cent they can off their players. And I think Payday 3 is an example of a game that turned into a scumfuck company trying to like rip cents of their players, because Payday 3 has a DLC mission that is $15. It's a single mission for 15 fucking whole dollars. And that's so, and the mission is so mid. The mission is so mid, it's unbelievable. And everybody in the community like got rubbed the wrong way, because that's not how they used to do things in Payday 2. Like at all.
Not in certain games, but for the most part, it's been done pretty elegantly in the past by a lot of studios. And for a lot of those studios, these microtransactions are what keeps things going. And not just the lights on. Like, I don't think it...
Like I said, this is exactly why Payday has been in development. Payday 2 specifically has been in development for like 10 years, which is insanity.
It's fair for us to ask them to only break even. Now, I think it's totally fine that if they want to add this so they can make a profit, like they're a company, you know, they made a great game. I want them to be paid. Yeah. It's why I tip my artists when I commission stuff. You know, I want them to do more than just survive. The problem is very often the common dev does not see that money. I'm sure the developers at Activision Blizzard definitely got a cut of that, what was it, $6 billion in microtransaction revenue? Oh, I'm positive. So when I say that Killing Floor 2 has horrible, egregious microtransactions, it isn't because they exist. I don't mind if they exist. Recurring revenue is important for a ton of studios right now. But it's because the transactions swim in this terrible tube of overpriced crap on one side, in-game power on the other side, community market prices on top, and loot boxes on the bottom. If this whole thing was just cut down to a classic case of earn premium currency by playing or buy the new stuff Deep Rock Galactic style. Rock and stone! Like, nobody would be upset that you want more money. I'm fine with giving you more money, but not for this shit, and not for how you're selling it to me. If Team Cherry said, hey guys, we need a bit more money for Silk Song, and also an expensive bottle of wine for the team to celebrate its release. We have added a skin for the knight in the Hollow Knight game that makes his mask red, not white. It's $1. Thanks. I'd buy that shit, not even bat an eye, because I like those devs. I trust them. I believe in their product. I like the Killing Floor devs.
Also, yeah, Hollow Knight's devs released so much free DLC. I'm like, no, make me pay for that DLC. It's quality, man. Why are you releasing it for free? Hollow Knight devs are insane for the amount of content they put into their game for fucking free. They are freaks and I love them.
I like their game, but I do not trust this was the right call. It is astounding the amount of money people will pay to the right people, to the right group, to the right community, to people who respect their time, respect their decisions, respect their wallets. I know people who play Deep Rock Galactic all the time. They spend tons of money on those microtransactions, and they don't play it nearly as much as a ton of other games, but they really like Deep Rock. I know it's a bit of a ramble, a bit scatterbrained, I know, but I'm trying to make my point that, like, in this day and age, in 2023, microtransactions are a thing that if you don't put them in your game, cool. But if they're in your game, I get it. Just so long as you respect me, you respect my time, and you respect my wallet. And Killing Floor 2 is not doing that. Whew. Hopefully that I made my point across. That was a bit, I could have explained that probably a little bit better, but I hope I made it clear. Killing Floor 2 is a bizarre project. It is obviously something made with a ton of love and skill. The developers clearly love the title they're working on. It has all the hallmarks of real passion and real creativity fleshed out in a fun, if simple, original title. I don't know where all the microtransaction parts went wrong, but for the developers themselves, the people who put all that work, the art teams, all of them, they made a fantastic game. I think this game can be recommended at the end of the day to solo players more than the first one, but specifically, of course, to groups. That being said, it's just a game that you need to be warned about with its excessive transactions and the possibility that it might run poorly on your machine. Steam still has their lovely 2-hour full refund policy, so you can find out for yourself if you'd like. Personally, I think the game is too good and too fun not to recommend it. Just know the giant asterisk above my recommendation. Whew, that was a long one. I've got scatterbrain on a lot of those topics. I'm sorry. The microtransaction thing is a weird one. After speaking to a lot more devs in the past, like 3 years of doing this kind of content, I've learned a lot about the industry. I'm playing Armored Core right now. Probably will give me the next video. Amazing game. Love the fact that it's $60 and you're done. That's all you spend. Love that. But it's FromSoft. You know, they can do that kind of thing. Thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure having you all here. If you want to buy some merch, my beloved, you can get it at the store right here, right now, orchidate.com. Link in the description. Check out the Bricky tab. It's under the content creators part. Concrete creators, i.e. concrete. I'll see you next time.
Come on.
Description. Check out the Bricky tab. It's under the content creators part. Concrete creators, i.e. concrete.
Beautiful. This is the frame I wanna pause on. I think No Man's Sky holds the crown for free DLC content amongst... Oh yeah, definitely. Fucking definitely, man. Holy. Yeah, like I said, paid content is welcome in games by... I think so. For example, I genuinely wish Left 4 Dead 2 had paid campaigns. I 100% wish that, because then it would be in development for way longer than it was. I loved Left 4 Dead 2, but as soon as new content stopped coming out, I had no reason to keep playing the game, even though the multiplayer is fucking amazing. And yeah, like I said, I wish there were like, you know, a couple of free campaigns, a couple of paid campaigns, exactly what Payday did. Payday 2, in its like first year of operation, released, I think, 2 free heists, like 2 free missions. One of them is literally the best mission in the fucking game, with completely new mechanics, tons of optional things you can do to spice up the experience for yourself. And then they released paid DLC. That first paid DLC was kind of whatever, but a lot of people bought it to support the devs. Then they released another free expansion, and then they released another paid DLC, which was again one of the best missions in the entire fucking game. And it was $8 or something. One of them, like, most replayable missions in the entire game, with again completely new mechanics. Some content made it for free into the rest of the game, and then the game, the DLC also dropped in price like over the year to like $4 or something like that. That's great. That means you get to support the creators of the game you really like, and it's not too much, you know. But like if you throw crates, packs for like $60 fucking of crates, skins, weapons, $15 for 2 weapons, then you lost me. I'm sorry, but then I take a hard look at your game and go, that is not, I don't want to support that practice, so I will not be buying those DLCs. I am very sorry, even if I like the game. So yeah, like Bricky said, that's just awful. I'm sorry, but that's awful. By the way, long time wanted to recommend you the game Battle Brothers. Maybe sometime look at it, maybe like it. Sure thing, I will take a look off screen at some of those titles mentioned here. Maybe even see if there's like some good content about it to add to the, you know, ever-growing pile of recommendations. I wanted to see Killing Floor 3. Killing Floor 3 apparently had an fucking announcement trailer. Like 6 months ago. What the fuck? I completely missed this. That's so weird. I wanna see this. Hopefully they don't fuck this up like they fucked up microtransactions for Killing Floor 2, you know? stand like whips and there's like destructible environment. That's fucking cool. Oh, there's no like release date, I guess. So it's just in development. Killing floor free. Yeah, coming soon. Nothing much besides that. You're okay. So, like, there is nothing, like, even to break down or anything. It's just straight up. We will see if they learned their lesson or not. I wanted to see that Sims 4 Apologize in bed. What the fuck? Apocalypse mod. Wait, sorry. Zombie apocalypse mod. Trailer? Is it this one? Holy fuck, there's a lot of that. What the fuck? Sacrificial, okay. So it is this one. Oh yeah, it is the guy who made like extreme violence and stuff. But it's still like The Sims, right? Bro, she's fucking bro, she's fucking gone. I love that it's specifically like Resident Evil. Like it's called just Zombie Apocalypse mod, so we would expect something generic, but it's so obviously Resident Evil inspired. That fucking facial animation, oh my god. But like, so does it actually fucking have survival gameplay elements? I'm skipping around a little bit, but I just wanna see like the actual gameplay. Man, seeing like Sims fucking blasting people with shotguns and like and weapons is just so fucking funny. Why is it Sims players that always come up with those fucked up mods like the ultra violence and the fucking zombie apocalypse? Zombies gradually spread through and infect everyone. You begin to move from place to place, and the game is survival Sims all of the sudden. I wish there was like a little bit more gameplay in this trailer rather than just like the story kinda. Would be funny if one of the kids pulled out the Glock though. There's fucking zombie kids. Oh my god. I wonder how does that work gameplay wise, because like Sims 4 I remember has that annoying like limitation of only being able to play on one plot. Yeah, obviously this is in game and like the gameplay of the trailer, but I mean like a trailer. When I watch a trailer of a mod, I usually want like specific features listed, like what's new and how it works, rather than just like cinematics, you know. I fucking busted the busted facial animations. The mod somehow gets around that. If I recall, when you find a vehicle, you can move to different places. Okay. Yeah, like this looks way more open than normal Sims 4, but maybe I'm crazy. I don't. I'm not a Sims 4 enjoyer, so. But I remember from seeing like my girlfriend play. Like I constantly remember being stuck in those like little plots of land, and this looks way more open. Nice fucking outfit. Oh, okay, there's even a fucking RPD rendition. Nice. That's fucking cool, man. I kinda wanna see if he has like actual gameplay of sorts. Not really, maybe like on, because I see he has some lives here. That's cool though. Yeah, like, man, Sims modders, like, be it 2, 3 or 4, whatever the case, they always went fucking crazy with their mods, man. Like, there are so many like total conversions of that game, it's incredible. Are the features listed in the description? Actually, yeah, let me check that. Or maybe like a full changelog? Yeah, full release notes. Okay, let's see. Key features, zombie children. Oh, this is just version 2, I think, new features. I will go back to like version 1 in a second. You can assign partners to help you fight the undead. So there are specific like sims based on characters from Resident Evil. Fucking Nemesis. That's insane, man. There's a chance that your sim would die from one punch only. There's a chance that your sim would dodge the punch. Zombie hunter sims have a higher chance to dodge it. You shoot at him to kill him, obviously. He will constantly get revived and regenerate his health after leaving the scene. There's custom battle music for him. Holy shit. New weapon. Turn all zombies in this save into zombies, or cure all sims in this save from zombification. There is fucking loot system apparently. Oh, and there's the like just for the mod in general. I love the casual stroll the Sims do, doesn't really fit the Nemesis is after me vibe. I think he used to do streams, I'm not sure if he still does. Okay, requires base game only, compatible with all mods. That's fucking actually very... That's impressive, because I used to mod New Vegas and that shit would just issues upon issues upon issues whenever you had like 2 mods installed. And the infection doesn't start unless you want it to. You don't have to worry about your save files getting affected by infection. That's nice. You can cure zombies after they've been infected. Key features: adds new pie menu, zombie apocalypse. Survival item spy menu. A menu containing shop and survival items you need to stay alive in the apocalypse. So there's like weapons, there's items you can use to prevent getting zombified. Air support, holy fuck. Okay. So yeah, you get bitten, there are like 4 levels of infection. Oh, you can actually play as the zombie too. Okay, I wanted to cover the basics in the release note. All other information is explained without the mod itself, so there's no like real way to know how the... And this is the trailer we watched. There's no real way to know how it plays without playing it, which is fair, obviously. That's cool. Like I said, I always appreciate a good ass mod. It's crazy how well Sims 4 handles mods in general. I have modded the game to hell and back and experienced zero issues. Especially compared to games like Skyrim or worse, Sims 3 and Oblivion. Yeah, my worst experience definitely is Fallout New Vegas. Like, that shit just breaks in half when you try to mod it with just a handful of things. Oh my god, I am looking pretty bad on the camera. The sun just started shining and my camera looked a little goofy. I don't remember what other games I used to mod now, but yeah, like some games just have issues out the ass. That this like something that completely changes the gameplay is compatible with so many different mods. That's kind of fucking insane to me. New Vegas breaks in half when you try to install the fixes. Good game, but I feel like the game doesn't want me to like it. Yeah, that's true. Like, New Vegas breaks whatever you do, it will break. It doesn't matter if you try to play the vanilla game, install the fixes, whatever, it will just fucking break. Okay, so I don't think within the time frame that I set up for myself, I don't think I will be able to react to anything. Maybe like, yeah, I will just leave it for later. As I said, I will, right after I finish the stream, I will set up a scheduled stream for Friday. So 2 days from now on. And like I said, this weekend I will be streaming a lot. There will be way longer streams than this one. So this is kind of like a tease for that, you know. I will watch like the entire rest of my watch later playlist. I will add a bunch of things you guys recommended over the time, and I will be playing some Mechanicus. And those streams will be later in the day because I know a lot of people like are a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel are only on YouTube from like 4 p.m. my local time, and I start my streams at fucking 10 a.m. and they are done by the time most of my subscribers are actually on the platform. So, but that's just what works for me. But this weekend I decided to run a little bit of an experiment, you could say, see like how many people would tune in to later streams that are way longer, and hopefully it will go, you know, it will go great. So if you enjoy these streams, be sure to check out my scheduled streams tab. And like over the weekend I have a bunch of streams planned. I work a night shift, it's the only reason I can catch some streams. Yeah, I think like most people just it doesn't I mean, at the end of the day it just gets saved as a video so you can still watch it. But yeah, interacting with you guys in the chat is nice, and I wish that there were more people in the chat. So it's just like with how I function and like my daily life and work and whatever, like those are sadly the only hours I can stream in. But like I said, I will run that like weekend experiment, and then I will adjust, I like according to what happens, how many people tune in, what's the reaction, I will adjust like all future streams towards that. Because obviously I want as many people as possible in the chat watching live with me, interacting and stuff, and like to make the experience as nice as possible. And obviously to attract like more viewers and subscribers to the channel, to make this like a regular job in the future, which would be fucking nice. So yeah, that will be all for today, and tune in next time to a way longer stream than this one. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me, everybody who tuned in, everybody who wrote in the chat. If you don't write much in the chat or don't write at all, that's fine too. I can feel your spirit empowering me anyway. I grow stronger with each minute watched, so I still appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, that will be all. Thank you very much, and hopefully you guys all have a great day.